No.
Okay, I'll call the meeting to order at 10:12. Welcome, everyone. There is a sign-in sheet going around. There should be one for the board of directors and for the guests. So please sign in. And I'll have Michael do the roll call.
Alrighty. RJ, Michael?
Here.
Michael Lentz?
Yes, sir.
Jack Morgan?
Here.
Chuck Browning?
Present.
Wes Gibbons?
Here.
Elena Cole? Okay. Steve Petrie?
Here.
Amy?
Here.
Mark Allen? Stewart? David Hallwood?
Here.
Jeffrey Neal?
Here.
Oh, okay. Brian Helander?
Here.
Gene Frakes? Sammy Simpkin?
Here.
Mark Trammell? Janie Pardee? Randy Edlin?
Here.
And Kevin Miller.
Here.
Anybody I missed?
Me.
Oh, I saw those.
Oh, we don't get to say it here.
Okay, Candy Credits.
Here.
It's official.
Thanks.
Now you're here.
We use it when I throw this present. Okay. Did the roll call. I need a motion to approve the minutes from the November meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Who was the second?
Randy,
Okay.
any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Well, I don't have much of a report myself. The only thing, I think it's a little further down, but just to let everyone know, we found a new entry system that we've been working on, Gene, more than anyone, and I want everybody to give Gene a round of applause because this has been a huge deal that he has spent, I would be saying thousands of hours now. Anyway, it's going to be running in the background this weekend, and Gene's going to be kind of working on it. He had to manually enter all the contestants that were pre-registered. There was about 60, I think. So he manually entered everyone. So we're going to move forward with, he's going to run it in the background. That way it kind of tells us what we're missing. But I just want everybody to know that this was kind of a found system that's very inexpensive, and we're thrilled. And these people have done all these upgrades and everything at no charge to make it IGRAized. Let's put it that way, kind of. So I will personally going to send them a thank you from me about all that they're doing for us, and this will let Gene know any problems that we need to fix or stuff like that. Please don't overwhelm. If you want to ask some questions, more than welcome, right? But please understand that he's going to be working the system at the same time as everybody's running the rodeo. So don't overwhelm him if he's right in the middle of something. But we will answer any questions anybody has about it. Okay? Michael's going to be there with him, you know, because Michael, David, Bruce, everybody else will be learning this system, and of course it's totally different from what they currently use, right? We know that. It's going to be a change. Everybody struggles with change or whatever, but understand this is a full functioning system that will, you can enter online. You'll have your own profile like any other kind of entry thing where you go fix things. You're not struggling if your credit card doesn't match your address or whatever. That's something that you, the contestant, will fix themselves, okay? And it's not run by somebody in IGRA. It's a third-party deal, so that's what's kind of cool about that. Later in the program or whatever, it will email the contestant their running order and things like that. So this system has some cool things. It'll be way further down the line. Don't expect it right away. But as we build, as we grow, whatever, just understand that this is, at the push of a button later on, it will give David and Michael, people, information that they had to like manually do before. Okay, so that's where we're going to this. But like I said, this is the first trial. Gene's going to see, how it functions or whatever, whether we totally move forward with it. We may be back on, executive board talked a while ago, we may have to be back with manually mailing something in if something goes wrong, but I don't see that. We've been very impressed. Gene and Christopher and Michael and I sat through a presentation. Michael had never seen it before, and he was very impressed, and he had questions for the, like the secretary auditor side or whatever, and it was easily answered. Yes, did it look a little different? Yeah, it did. Right?
Yep.
Right, Michael? Michael had a little, right in the beginning, he had a little meltdown, and he realized that, I'm going to be real honest about this. Michael did, he goes, oh my God, like it was one of those deals, because what do we do when something totally changes, right? We're like, oh, whoa, especially at our age. But then Michael, a little further down, it had exactly what he wanted a different way. Okay? Right? So that was the big deal. Okay, so just letting everybody know, that's the thing in the background running and stuff like that. What we'll eventually do, I'm going to talk to David. We'll buy a couple of iPads. I've got a couple of little kiosks I can throw in the trailer or whatever. But what will happen is that, like, if somebody walks in, we'll ask everybody. We'll send out blasts on social media or whatever. Go in, make sure your stuff's all updated or whatever. But if you don't and you go in, you can walk in right at the registration, and we'll have a couple of iPads there that you can update your stuff instantly. Okay? So it'll be tasked on the contestant to take care of their own information, not IGRA. Does that make sense? Okay. Any questions?
No, but nice job. We've needed something for such a long time. It's nice to see something
anyway,
come along.
It's called Rodeo Management System or whatever. We're very, very impressed. The people have been it's almost a dream come true. So I just let everybody know we're pretty excited about it.
I don't think it runs on docs.
Yeah. So, okay, so the one thing, and everybody, this was kind of a deal. Everybody needs to understand, there are rodeo associations. When you have a rodeo, we have to have Wi-Fi. If we don't, if something goes down, this thing will hold information, and then when you come back up, it updates everything, okay? But keep that in mind. If you're having a rodeo, David has, and we'll make sure, I think we have a Verizon, but maybe we'll buy a AT&T one as well or whatever. But please keep that in the back of your mind that we need Wi-Fi somehow to run the system. If we go down, it still has everything, then it will upload it, right? But just understand what this does immediately is it also, eventually when we get there, it would immediately do the points. It immediately does the all around. It immediately goes, does all this stuff. Huh? Wow. Yeah.
Would it be too much data to hotspot it with a phone if there wasn't Wi-Fi out there?
I do it at home.
Okay. He does it at home. No, that's a deal. But I'm just I'm wanting everybody to be proactive that are having rodeos. That we do this. Okay. Just Even I was even telling them, like, even at, you remember whenever we stayed at San Francisco, everybody's like, oh, there's no stuff there. Well, I bought a little Walmart Verizon phone. And Dorian and I both worked the whole week we were there on that hotspot. You see what I'm saying? So there's ways around everything. David said he kind of struggled there with that the Verizon MiFi or whatever, and it might be just where you're sitting. You know what I'm saying? And that we may have to
move me out.
Yeah. Well, you may have to go in my trailer. It won't be that bad. I'm just saying. There's a way, but the deal is that we're not crippled because it would go ahead and take all the information. Then when you do get reception, it uploads it. A later upgrade, and Tommy I'm going to block him from kissing me here. Later on, one of the upgrades that we're going to ask them to do is it's going to do the finals invitation.
No way.
Anyway, and to the fact that, let's say, you know how like right now you have like is it 7 days? 5 days? Whatever?
About 7 to 10.
Okay, we would set it up to immediately when that last rodeo closes, it would send the invitation, it would have a deadline at midnight and then if you don't, we're not gonna babysit people, okay? So if you don't go in and accept it, then it would kick it to the next person. So that's the upgrade later, so that's what's coming.
How much later?
It's on. This year.
October 1?
No, this year, we're just saying this year, Tommy. But
Tommy does his
do you
little happy
understand?
dance.
So many times before we babysitted everyone, and these two guys have spent thousands of hours babysitting everyone, well, it'll be, you know, where it's going to be put on the contestant to respond in time, and then it'll be all documented or whatever. If you don't go in and do it, it's going to go to the next contestant. Okay? Go ahead.
One thing I'd point out is now it's going to be very, Gene, correct me if I'm wrong, it's going to be very heavily reliant on the contestants having their profile current, which means their email address in particular, because that email address is where their final invite is going to go to. It's not going to be a letter mailed from Tommy and David, you know, that takes a week to get it to the contestants. It's going to be boom, there's a response, and then it looks to see, did Michael respond within 7 days, and on the 8th day, then it sends, hey Gene, you want to go to finals? Michael didn't respond, you know.
But we'll make sure that there's plenty of notice. Everybody knows what's going to go on. Everybody has plenty of social media. Like, go in and accept your, you know. We'll make sure that everybody's aware. So.
So our communication to rodeo directors for all associations for this year is Wi-Fi is a necessity for Friday night and both rodeo days.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Good, Frank.
Frank? Yes, sir.
The better term rather than Wi-Fi would be internet access.
That would be correct. That would be correct.
And I
Because if
appreciate
they
that.
have
I appreciate that help.
If they
I'm
have a
not
direct
the
net,
IT guru. Go ahead.
Can we get it to do finals buckles when we get rid of Tommy altogether?
now we have better uses for Tommy.
Oh yeah, we have. Yes, we do. Okay, that's all I really have right now. So next would be Mary is not present. Michael?
Okay, I don't have a whole lot. I do want to stress this has been, the end of the year was a very learning experience for me. We got the bylaws updated, we got the standing rules updated, we got the rodeo rules updated. We do not have rodeo rule books for this weekend, but that's getting taken care of. And I have learned that we absolutely have nothing documented, how you do things, when you do things, timelines, or anything like that. And so the last board meeting we talked about establishing some SOPs, and so that is one of the items that's on the list to be formalized, so we have documented processes and procedures. When I do email association trustees for information, I do need that information back. I've asked for a number of different things, and my return rate is about 50% at best. Association officers, membership lists, our rules require that we have current membership list of the current rodeo year. And our rodeo year started January 1st. So someone said, oh, well, I gave you one in November. And I said, well, November was last year. It's not the current. It probably hasn't changed. And I said, you know, if it hasn't changed, just put an up, 2019 date and let's move forward. Oh, I just realized I forgot to bring some plaques for some people that were redone. Most of them you got directly. It took longer to get the ones redone than it did the original ones. I don't, but those were shipped to you directly, and as far as I know, everyone received theirs. So I do ask for your collaboration and working together. I do rely a lot on emails, and maybe I need to follow those emails up with phone calls. So I'll work on that, but it's a living and learning experience, and it's been interesting. So thank you.
Okay. Introduction of the new board of directors. We have R.J. Michaels for AGRA. Welcome.
Yay!
Russ Gibbons for DSRA. Welcome. We're so glad that you're back. Yeah.
Hey, happy birthday.
You thought that would slip by me, didn't you? Okay, we already talked about the rodeo management system. So we have, we also, at the executive board meeting, I don't remember what day.
January.
Yeah. Anyway, Canada had submitted to change their rodeo date from the end of June to the first weekend in August, and it was approved by the executive board. So just so everybody knows that. Okay. And we will go into our reports. Tommy?
Just a minute.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The treasurer has been removed from the agenda.
My apologies.
It's only a flick of the pen. Hang on.
I knew I was missing something, David.
Okay, David, let's go back to,
Okay,
let's go back
the
to.
accounts receivable report that you received by email last night shows $617.74 in accounts receivable. $327.74 is SRRA. $270 is Miss IGRA, and $20 is Ms. IGRA.
Is that for the current
No.
royalty or last year royalty?
Last year.
Okay.
I think Laura and Robin have reached out to them to try to decipher who owes what on that. So that's being resolved. The SSRA was something that was overlooked. It's their insurance from last year that David, whenever he balanced everything up, we found out about. I reached out to them and told them that they need to get that resolved as soon as possible. So
It was very confusing.
yeah, big convention. So they should get that. They do have some members and getting things going, and so I've told Bruce and Janine both that they need to get that resolved because they would be getting a new bill this year, pretty soon. So everybody knows what all that is. So I think not too bad, huh?
Not too bad.
Not too bad, and I would think that that royalty stuff will be pretty resolved pretty quick here. So, any questions on that? Okay. Now we'll go into Tommy. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Okay, thank you. First and foremost on from my desk this weekend, it is that time of year again where we discuss our general liability and rodeo liability insurance. And I will remind you that many years ago when we introduced Caliph Insurance to IGRA, IGRA stood at a very different dynamic than it does today in number of rodeos and association involvement is how I will describe that dynamic that has changed over the past some years. With that thought process in mind, Michael Lentz here, myself and David are going to ask Michael to present a new presentation of insurance responsibility to IGRA and its associations.
So you want to do that now?
Let's do that right now.
Because it was on the
Do we
agenda.
need
today.
We do have it in new business.
It's
Pardon
in
me?
business.
We do have that in new
It's in the
business.
business?
We've always done it right now.
Oh, okay.
That doesn't matter to me. I'm
Yeah.
ready to go.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay, first of all, do we need to pass that we are accepting Caliph's insurance?
Well, if I may, I think this presentation will demonstrate acceptance or not, probably. And then we will vote, I would assume,
Frank,
Candy,
this is
Yeah.
whether we accept the renewal quote.
Okay.
So what you're going to see,
Frank, this is a file I thought was going to be later, but there it is. Okay, that was quick.
Yeah. It was fast.
Yeah. Better prepared than us.
Probably faster. I don't know. I don't know if there's enough to go.
There's 30.
Okay. Should be enough to go.
Yeah.
That seems like
There's 30. Now, yeah, there's 2 stacks going each way.
Oh,
Kind of, so
Steve,
you're okay if you run out.
Steve, did it work?
Yeah, I got that. Thank you.
Does everyone have a copy of what we're seeing on the screen?
And it's on the screen too. Okay, so I'm going to try to go through this as quickly as I can and try to be as complete as I can at the same time. The first 2 columns of numbers are the 2017-2018 history, and then the 2019 proposal, actually quote and proposal for coverage is in the last column. The top half that says base insurance coverage is what we need in order to operate. The bottom half, supplemental insurance coverage, includes 2 lines. One for your $5 million rodeo coverage, and that's an additional $2,475 plus tax. That's what the asterisk is. That's a 3% tax. Or individual association directors and officers, that's $450 plus tax. So that's kind of an aside, and those are optional buy-ins. So now let's talk about the important part.
If I may, Michael, interject as we go there.
Yeah.
Does everyone understand what he's talking about there, the additional $5 million liability? That is Jack Daniels. It's TGRA.
Yeah, and the coverage limits are at the top. You say it says limits $3 million. So the limits $3 million is $2 million per occurrence, $3 million total for the general liability, and then the /1 million. The 1 million refers to the directors and officers insurance. So the limitation is 2 million per occurrence, or 3 million total for the policy. And in order to raise that threshold to 5 million, which is a requirement of Jack Daniels,
that is correct,
if I remember correctly. So if your individual association has that Jack Daniels requirement, that 2,475 plus tax, don't forget the plus tax, is what you would have to pay in addition to the overall IGRA policy.
So currently all I know of is TGRA and perhaps finals in years past. I don't know about this year.
Yeah, so make sure Jack Daniels is giving you at least $2,700, because if they're not, you're losing money.
Correct.
So then cash. They better be giving you $2,700 cash. Because I don't think Caleb takes crates of liquor, right?
That's right.
It works at my house.
So TGRA, we will need to know on your end fairly quickly.
Okay, so let's get back to the top half. The numbers that come from the top of the page down to the double total line is the quote. And so they've quoted $7,952 as the general liability base rate. That's an actual decrease from last year, as you see. Part of that is just the rodeo schedule and current rates that they can get from, I guess they're using Lloyd's of London as their primary underwriter.
Correct.
And so that's a little bit better. That probably tells us that there weren't as many international rodeo injuries around the world last year as there were previous years. Directors and officers insurance, however, tells you there's been more corruption in the world since last year, because that amount did go up, and it's almost a 50% increase. So the D&O policy did go up. The policy fee, I think Caleb just felt sorry for us, or maybe they made a mistake, but they lowered that fee by $50. And then the tax is 3% tax overall on the 2 types of insurance, plus they tax the policy fee, which really irritates me because you're not usually supposed to tax the fee. But anyway, that's a 3% tax on everything above. So the total bill from Caleb for this year is $10,384.46 if we accept the proposal from Caleb. Just important information, IGRA associations is 19. We added one, we lost one, so it's unchanged from the year. And IGRA rodeos, we kind of lost one for purposes of calculation, and I'll get to that later. So this is the 10 regular rodeos is what I'm referring to. Does not include finals, and you'll see what that's about as we come up. So using the quote and using the demographics of our association and the possible ways to share the money, the next 4 lines is where the rubber meets the road, and this actually might be a good place for a question, Amy, as long as you're not asking about the numbers we're about to talk about.
No, a quick question regarding the number of IGRA associations.
Yes.
Does that include recognized associations or just full-fledged regular associations?
That's all associations.
That's all. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. That's a good question. Good question. Okay. All right, and so let's go to the bottom of the page. I want you to look at the footnotes because this is where it's an important point to just bring up guiding the discussion. As I said before, those supplemental charges, you have to add 3%. That's what that first footnote is. The second footnote is taxes and fees total is 7.8% of the base amount. And that's really for calculation. If you're going to do the math at home, so to speak, you will need to know that that was the number that was used. So the 450 plus the 302 above amounts to about 7.8%. And it's almost on the money. It's $1 off out of the whole $10,000 bid. So I felt comfortable using 7.8 as a round number. It's 3% sales tax, and then that fee basically makes up the other 4.8%. Proposed changes for 2019. This is the difference in how the calculation is done versus past years. And this is the real essential points that I need to make sure everybody grasps. Split out billing of rodeos versus D&O premiums. And this is, as you can see, in the lines above, you see the rodeo stuff is the quote numbers from the previous year's pages. And you had rodeo and D&O rolled in together. This year I've split it out by putting the D&O on a separate line. Now note that this D&O is the IGRA D&O. It's the D&O for what's happening in this room right now. So it's the D&O for us. If you want to talk about D&O for your own association back home in your board meeting in Kansas City, then you have to look at that $450 plus tax thing down below. So the D&O we're talking about is here, and I want to, so the next item on the footnote is IGRA shares are picked up by the associations. This is a new assumption. In the past, we took university, and we took finals, and we took convention, and we took some other things, and we kind of pulled them out, and we assigned points to them. And I decided that I thought a simpler way to approach this was to lay a principle on the table. And that principle is that the individual associations are joint owners of Finals Rodeo. And so the individual associations will pick up the cost of Finals Rodeo. We're also joint owners of university, and we're also joint owners of convention. And so I took the insurance coverage for those and I placed them on the association level. So rather than IGRA getting an independent insurance bill from the associations will pay the IGRA part. So IGRA's cost this year, the corporate cost for IGRA, is 0. Now the other side of that is the reality historically has been if somebody went out of business or couldn't pay their bill or didn't pay the bill, IGRA became the backstop. And so IGRA still has a little bit of potential cost liability as the backstop because they're writing the big check and then collecting all these little checks. And if all the little checks don't come in, then who gets stuck with that initial part? IGRA. So IGRA still possibly could be paying something, but ideally, the ideal world, IGRA as the governing organization will not have an insurance cost because all the associations are sharing that. Okay, and then the third is the kind of the big change. The rodeo share for a non-rodeo producing association versus a rodeo producing association, whereas it had been 50% in the past or a 2-to-1 ratio, I adjusted it to a 5-to-1 ratio. And the reason for that is based on a conversation with the insurance company. And in that conversation with Caleb, we talked, he actually attempted to educate me, and attempted is the operant word here, about insurance and how pricing works and how cost works and how you get add-ons for additional events and how you get approval of additional events. The key is, and I did ask a really important question, and I was like, okay, I come from the old days of rodeo insurance where you had to go out and buy it yourself. And I remember we paid $1,200 many years ago for our individual rodeo insurance. And I remember when the idea of IGRA blanket policy came on board and they said, you know, it's going to drop your cost. I'm like, oh yeah, baby. It did drop our cost dramatically. The quote for individual rodeo insurance for a single association, for a single rodeo, Bruce said he can offer it, and it depends on the factor and the state you're in, California, but the price range is from between $1,500 and $1,800 is the current quote for a single rodeo association. So just know that if you were buying rodeo insurance on your own, it's going to cost you between $1,500 and $1,800 for one weekend event. But the other thing was I was asking about, well, what really is covered and what really is the basis of the cost? And he said, you know, frankly, Mike, the only thing that's used to calculate your liability is the rodeos. He said, there's nothing else. He said, the rodeo school, he said, because the problem with rodeo, he said, you know, you think about the danger in rodeo, and quite frankly, me in particular, Brian, I'm sure there's quite a few others, when we think about the danger in rodeo, we really think about breaking our own ribs and leg and arm and whatever. We think about the contestant injury, and that's not what's being covered here. What's really being covered is the person who trips going into the grandstand and falls on their face and breaks their nose. It's really the spectators. So the key is this liability is really all about spectators and volunteers to an extent also. But it's not about the contestants. It's not what we think of the danger of rodeo. From an insurance standpoint, the danger of rodeo is the person, you know, cutting their hand and getting, blood poisoning from the bleacher. And so when you have an event like a rodeo school, as long as you don't have a bunch of spectators hanging around, then you really don't have any liability from the standpoint of Lloyd's of London and Caliph. And so this idea of play days and fundraising events, general liability, unless you're having it on property owned by your association, the primary target is not going to be the rodeo, it's going to be the bar owner, it's going to be the park owner, it's going to be, so he said, you know, your liability is the insurance, it's the rodeos. Well, that's what made me think, well then, you know, the non-rodeo producing associations, I think fairly, should have a lower cost contribution. But they shouldn't have a zero cost contribution, because I think it is up to the non-rodeo producing associations to support finals rodeo, to support convention, to support university, and to support the rodeo schools, which is we do get for free, by the way. And so that's where the 5-to-1 ratio came from. And so where the rubber does finally meet the road here, with this proposal, associations that don't produce a rodeo, and there are 10 of those. Is that right? Yes, there are 10 of those. Would pay $142 for the liability policy, and they would pay an additional $95 for the D&O share. Associations that have one rodeo would pay $714 for the rodeo side and $95 for the board side. That's 8 associations. And then the last association that does produce 2 rodeos would pay double that, $14.28 for the rodeo side, and then again $95 equally for the D&O side. So this is the proposal, and I think I've said more than I needed to. So question? So
we're paying $24.75 for insurance for Jack Daniels, and we're getting $4,000 from Jack Daniels. So
we're going to be well, reasoning. We just got sent the Jack Daniels contract. So
okay.
So when I see this, I look and I had to bring it up. So they're offering us $4,000, but we got to pay $24.75 to get
plus tax. Plus tax.
Sorry. Okay.
Plus tax.
Right.
That's another $100.
So that sponsorship turns into $12.25. So has anybody?
As long as look at the policy, does it say you have to have that $5 million? Because if it says $2 million, $3 million, it says 2 million, then you don't have to pay
It
this.
was back there in the requirements.
Because this is really to jump
That's
you
not,
out.
I'm gonna, I just
Unless
asked,
it is changed, it does say.
I'm saying,
has anybody ever asked them to, and they won't do it?
For some years in the beginning, when TGRA would sign Jack Daniels on, they did reduce to our current. But then after a few years, they said no more. And we have not been able to get them to negotiate that down. That doesn't mean they won't today, but they haven't.
I think we should ask her because that,
But they haven't in years past.
Right. Well, and maybe you know, this is one of those places where honesty may be the thing that bails you out, is to go to them and say, hey, the reason we're asking you this is because, and I'll give you the quote page. We have this quote page, and you are, it's costing us $2,400 cash to accept your sponsorship just for the insurance cost above the insurance we already have.
I have a question. Do you have access to your Jack Daniels contract?
I don't have the current one.
we have
I've got it right here,
We have
Brad.
one right here that just got sent. for-
Tommy, I know in years,
It would be the same.
Exactly, so
It would be the same.
in years past, if memory serves me correctly, IDRE and TDRE split the cost of the additional policy money for Jack Daniels because we were the only rodeo, and Finals was the only rodeo actually using Jack Daniels as a sponsor. So my question is, this $2,475, is that per rodeo or is it total for the year?
Wow.
Rodeo.
According to the quote, it's per event.
Yeah, it says here, optional coverage, increased liability to $5 million for Jack Daniels events. Premium $2,475 plus Colorado tax 3% for each event.
Okay.
on this one, it says 2 million.
So it says 2 million. Sweet. I mean, ignore that bottom line.
We're good,
Done.
so
We're grand.
comprehensive automobile liability,
Yeah, I was going to say, is that I don't think that's.
that's the right one. Well, then wait a minute, comprehensive general liability
There you
insurance is
go.
2 million.
Oh.
Wow.
Well, there you go.
Okay,
Sweet.
Well, there you go.
Sweet.
Then you may confirm
Great
that.
question.
there we go.
Even better.
I hope yours reads the same.
I'll
Yeah,
find out.
yeah, definitely.
Don't call it to her attention. Just read it.
Yeah.
If not, we'll send you this one. How's that?
That's amazing because it's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. When you look at our per rodeo, it's $700, and then it's triple that.
So this is gonna save us some money.
Texas and Nigeria, yes, or anyone else who has Jim Beam. So.
Well,
Which is
of
Jack
course,
Daniels.
that contract, if this is correct, and we assume it is in line with this policy.
Yeah, yeah,
So there would be no additional.
good. Because
And I'll confirm that.
now, so if you have that language in front of you, I actually have a copy of the sheet that you can compare the terms to. Because all the terms they give you are each occurrence, general aggregate, operations aggregate, personal advertising injury, liquor liability, fire damage, and the medical expense. So if you have a bunch of insurance terms you want to compare, you can look at the actual Caleb quote
Yeah,
detail.
we should
that.
confirm that.
Okay, so we'll confirm that. All right, any other questions? Yes.
This is going to be because, even though I've been here 20 years, it may not have been long enough. Are recognized associations, it's my understanding that they actually don't get to vote on things and so forth, so am I wrong? Is that right?
No,
That's correct.
That's correct. or
Okay,
whatever.
so then my question would be, can we actually assign them a debt to pay in an organization that they have no say in? That's from not only a legality standpoint, but does it make sense, and will we immediately lose all those recognized associations? Because they're obviously recognized, the ones we have now are recognized for the most part because of their ability to participate, whether it be financially, whether it be attending convention, whether it be whatever the case may be. So I think we're fooling ourselves to think that they're going to pay $240, time you figure the D&O and the Without a Rodeo Association, to get nothing.
Yeah, because right now, the recognized associations, they can participate in the board meetings, they can participate in the rodeos, so.
But they cannot vote in a board meeting.
Correct.
That's right. They can participate as far as voicing an opinion and speaking to different subjects. I understand that. But they can't vote. They don't have a say in the running of the organization. If we think that these people are going to pay $250 for nothing, I think we're kidding ourselves.
Okay, I'm not sure that's any different from a member association who has no representation at convention the prior year not being able to vote in the subsequent year. You can still participate, and your members can still participate, you just don't have a vote.
I understand that. Yeah, I agree.
And I might disagree with you, Gene, because I understand what you're saying, but they still have coverage, and you still can have your board covered and all that different stuff. I mean, it's their choice, and you know that's something that we can review at conventions next year on how if we give them a way to get back in prior to convention. That's just something to discuss later on. But I still think that they're still part of IGRA, and they still have all the same abilities, and as far as the rodeoing and stuff like that, and being a part of these board meetings or whatever, just without a vote.
Okay, but the point that I'm trying to make is that I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. My point is, though, is from the mindset of a recognized association, from a mindset of that, if we send them this bill,
$238.
yeah, if we send them a $238 bill, they just no longer be, we're kidding ourselves if we think they're going to pay it. And instead, they're just going to say, we'll no longer be an association. We're fine with that. And our members will all join another association, and those members still get the same benefits that they had as a recognized association. That's all I'm saying is that I think if we're going to talk about money, we need to be realistic about what we're actually going to be able to collect versus, and that's going to affect the other associations, the member association.
Well, I do want to state that the principle of the 142 part and the 95, and in particular, was that all associations will help cover some of the cost of everybody's insurance, but in particular the cost of the IGRA group events insurance. And so that's very easy for me to say. I feel comfortable asking them to pay the 142. The 95, if we took the recognized associations out because they didn't have a board vote, it would raise everybody's price by $25.
And that too, I mean, I understand the principle and I agree with the principles. I'm fine with the principles. I come back to the reality of whether we can expect them to pay that. And I think, I feel in my gut that there will be probably as many say no as will say yes. And they'll just leave. That's what I'm getting at. It's not the principles or anything about it. I personally don't have a problem with it from a member association standpoint. I'm looking at it from a reality standpoint.
Procedurally, this is a motion. It's presented as a report and a motion. So is that an amendment that you want to zero out the cost to?
No, it's not.
Okay,
I wanted to bring that.
Okay, just a question.
I didn't realize that we were waiting for a sec. I didn't realize. I thought this was just a presentation. So.
Well, it is a presentation, but from the committee, it is a motion.
I wasn't aware that that was what we were at.
I would say from my mind's thought that if there is an organization that has requested to be affiliated with IGRA, they have signed an application, they've gone through the vetting process, doesn't matter what level of association they are, recognized or member, Those are factors related to other things that happen within our association. They applied to be associated to IGRA, and therefore one of the requirements of that association is to be covered by insurance, you're going to be paying this amount. So I can understand that any organization, member or recognized, has the option of stepping away and saying we no longer want to fulfill the requirements that are being placed on us, but that is their choice. And I would say that if they have applied to be affiliated with IGRA as an association, recognized or otherwise, that there are commitments that they make to hold that position within our organization.
Next was Bruce.
I had just a simpler way of saying, if you want to play, you got to pay. And if you're a recognized association, that's part of being recognized. You're part of the association. And to me, it's just an encouragement to move forward. But yeah, to me, if you want to be part of it, there's a cost associated, just like the rest of it.
Jack?
How many associations does this impact, potentially?
4.
4?
Is that all you needed?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Gene?
I just want to restate, I want to state my concern a different way. Because I don't disagree with what's being said, but should that happen, if we agree to this, and should that happen, and let's just, for the sake of multiplying easily, let's say that all 4 of them decide not to do this. So that $900 or $1,000 will then end up where? I mean, who's going to pay that then?
It sits in receivables.
I'm sorry?
It sits in receivables.
Okay.
Because they haven't paid it until they pay it.
Right, but IGRA has already paid the bill, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought happened. So
we become the backstop.
So the other piece to that, then, at the end of the year, when it comes time to convention, if the association has not paid dues owed to IGRA, that's where the train ends.
I understand that. I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't then going to be taken, that $1,000, and at a later date, say to the rest of the associations, you got owe another $100.
Do we have any recognized trustees
That's
here
all I was
today?
saying.
One.
I mean, can you offer your perspective? I mean, because right now, I mean, Jane's
just talking out of that.
Well, no,
Jane is bringing up things, and this would have to be something that I would have to discuss with my board. But you know, I really don't see any reason why it should be a problem. At least for my association, because you know, if they don't pay it, I will. It
is $89 less than last year.
Yeah.
And that was the point, was to try to take some of the burden off the non-rodeo producing associations.
Randy?
Just 2 things real quick. One's a point of order. We have a motion from the committee. We don't have a second to physically be discussing it, so I'm going to make the second so the discussion can continue.
Thank you,
the second thing is, as a trustee from an association, whether I'm a member association or a recognized association, I know I'm going to get an insurance bill. If we don't adopt this and we're still following last year's rules, I'm going to get a bill twice this. So this proposal actually lowers the amount of insurance because they're not carrying a rodeo. They're still participating in IGRA. They're still carrying on business. They need to be part of it.
Jack?
Just a point of clarification. I believe we are exceeded our 10 minutes. So I would call the question unless we have a motion second.
I'll have to apologize, everybody. I thought we were just doing a presentation. I didn't know it was as a motion, so that's, Randy, I'll just tell you, I thought we were doing it.
I never heard of a motion.
Me either.
Well, that is correct.
Candy
Candy is correct. If you remember when we first started this and I made my little talk, somebody asked that question. But a proposal coming from the committee ends up, a presentation will end up as a
Thank you, but I apologize to everybody because I didn't realize that.
So it is a presentation and lengthy so that everybody fully understands, because it is different from the years past, which were quite a bit simpler. This is a little bit more involved, but Michael, to reiterate what Michael was saying, was this particular formula reduces the financial burden on a non-rodeo producing association, because if you will remember my words in the past, the word exposure. The exposure of liability is so much less on a non-rodeo producing association. Although they exist, there is some exposure. Does that make sense?
And I will make one other point. Bruce at Caliph was like, he said he really wants to give us a lot of flexibility and maximize our use of insurance. And he thinks that we're paying for policy that's actually really good and we're not getting enough use of it. And so he will cover additional events, and all he has to do to cover them is get a phone call. He doesn't have to actually, he needs to make a note in the record file that something is going to happen, and that's how you get coverage. So he just needs us to communicate to them that we're having an event that we want covered. And he said, in some very rare instances, he will need to ask for a $50 check. And it's really, if there's a bunch of spectators and it's not at a public space and it's not at a commercial space, so it meets all these really weird tests, then he would ask for $50 more. But in most cases, almost anything we would ask for is already in here. He just needs to know about it. So
examples of that would be a gymkhana or,
yes.
or a small rodeo school.
Yes.
There's no spectator usually base at a rodeo school. There may be a few.
But fundraisers, participation in pride events, participation in parades.
Pride events is a very good example.
So
is
any of those.
This year? Is that?
No.
This has always been true, but he said.
We have always paid for our pride insurance.
But it's minimal. It's not.
It doesn't matter. You're saying it wouldn't exist, and we have paid it. So.
But we've been paying this insurance money that covers us some things that we've not been taking advantage of. So he does want us to take better advantage of what we paid for. And that's a matter simply of a phone call. And he does answer the phone, and he's very congenial and easy to work with. So, yeah.
Just real quick, so I'm clear, we talked about pride events and gymkhanas and things like that. Are we saying that those, because we've been covered in the past with our association, because the cities require that we have insurance, those would fall under this without the $50?
Exactly, without it. You don't have to pay it, you have it. You have it. But the key is he needs to know about it. He doesn't, because from an exposure standpoint, he needs to make a note in the file. That way if something did happen and that there was a claim, he could say it was already covered and it was already listed. What happens is he gets blindsided by a potential claim from an event that he didn't know was going to happen.
Yeah. Now, I do want to just express one thing on what we're talking about there, Michael. If you were to have a horse brigade in a Pride Fest, there may be there may be a charge for that because the exposure then does go up. But if you just have a foot brigade, it's probably.
And there is an exclusion for something called trail rides, which kind of really, flipped my trigger when I was reading through the policy listing. I was like, oh God, the only thing Asgroves does is really has our trail ride, and it says, oh, what you're doing isn't a trail. You call it a trail ride, but it's not a trail ride. A trail ride is actually something where there are people that are going out on horses and they're going across different properties, and they're typically camping out overnight. So they're really kind of like in the old western, set of the old west.
And also, I want to express too. What your gymkhanas. CGRA, Jefferson County requires us to have insurance for that, and when we submit that there has been slight charges for that in the past. So I don't want just a blanket statement that anything you do is going to come in at no charge. That is not likely to happen.
Right. Well, but he said that most things we have covered already. He needs to know about. There may be some additional minor charges for some events, and it really is. Think in terms of: is there going to be somebody here who's not part of my organization? That's what you're really thinking about. There's somebody that's not part of your organization.
Am I going to put a person from the public on my horse?
Yes.
In my association.
Are they going to be exposed to the danger that you normally face?
Okay. So I think that's
so since we've cleared this up that it was a motion, has been seconded, and we've exceeded the time.
Thank you.
To continue this discussion, we'd have to have a.
So we do have a motion?
Yeah,
and a second.
Yeah, Yeah.
To extend.
Wait, it got cleared up. Chuck, I didn't realize that the presentation was we just moved it forward.
So it's a motion or it's a recommendation?
It's a recommendation that's presented as a motion. It's a committee report,
Yeah.
which are automatically motions.
They just moved it forward in the agenda.
And it was second.
Second by Randy. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. 6, 7.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael.
If I know David, your bill will be in your box before you leave here. Okay. All right. So now we're gonna. Did you have anything else on your admin report?
That was it.
That was
Membership fees.
Oh.
I think Michael addressed that. Yeah, just be sure that you're copying myself and Michael both on your updated membership list, please.
There have been a few associations where I've gotten 4 updates from one association this year, so some are better at it than others.
Carl,
We do have our time.
Okay. We can move that down. We'll see. You might show up in just a little bit. 10, David Hill, budget. No change. Benjamin's Janet or David. Convention. Here we go. Jack?
Yes, ma'am.
Convention, would you like to do your, or are you waiting?
Whatever you'd like, ma'am.
Might as well, we have so many before, so might as well take care of it right now. If you're
Okay.
Okay with that?
Yeah. Frank, have the.
Frank? We're gonna do the convention presentation.
Okay, I don't have anything to present.
I can fix that.
It was sent. Yeah, it was sent to Michael a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I sent the agenda to Frank, but I didn't send the slew of attachments. So take me just a second to get Frank his.
You know, I think it's a perfect time for a 10-minute break.
Oh, yeah. Don't email when I can't take a break.
Thank you, Michael Lentz.
Yes, great job. Thank you, Michael. All right, Jackie's going to bring that up. And
What do you want? What am I supposed to do?
This is
Convention.
This is a convention, the proposal from CGRA for the 2019 convention.
I was. I still was.
Bless you. Excuse me.
Okay, so in convention in 2018, Denver said we wanted to put together a bid for 2019 convention. Excuse me, my voice is a little hoarse right now. So we met with prospective properties and opportunities to present to this body today. What we have for our presentation is what we'd like to present for your consideration is to have a convention in Denver in 2019. It would be those who attended convention 5 years ago at the Doubletree in Denver. This property is directly across the street and 3 hotels up. So within the same vicinity, all within walking distance, you have Walmart, you have at least a dozen restaurants, a Buffalo Wild Wings, an IHOP, a Sonic right next door, Panda Express, all of it. So a lot of things right there. As we get through this, but just kind of highlights that there's not a shuttle to the airport. The Denver airport's pretty far from the property. However, there is a tram now directly from the airport to about 1.6 miles away from this facility. And there's a courtesy shuttle for the hotel that's within 2 miles, taking you anywhere 2 miles within the property. so that would be eligible. So if you take the tram from the airport to that location, they could pick you up there as well. So nice. In any case, if you move to the second slide, Frank, please. It's a Holiday Inn Stapleton. It was fully renovated in 2018. I was kind of surprised when we walked in, and I think Tommy and David were as well. It's a beautiful property. It doesn't look like a Holiday Inn. As you can see, they have a nice pool and hot tub that goes indoor, outdoor, gorgeous area, full workout room 24 hours. I'll just get right out of the way. The room cost is $98 a night, which is a really good negotiated room. That is for a single or a double. 1 to 4 occupants, doesn't matter, it's the same price. And it doesn't matter if it's 1 to 4 occupants, all occupants in the room will get breakfast included in that price, which is pretty unbelievable. They also have on-site restaurant called Burgers and Crafts, which is a nice restaurant. Their food was amazing. I ate there the other day. Different kind of specialty burgers, beers, things like that. We've also negotiated for the board meeting on Thursday a 10% discount in the restaurant. So that's will be included as well. Every room has a Keurig and a refrigerator, as well as 95% of the rooms have balconies. And every floor has a vending machine and an ice machine as well. There are 4 working elevators, which is nice. I'll stop at that point. I think I've covered the highlights. Is there any questions thus far that I can answer?
Have we picked a date yet?
Jeffrey.
Yeah, it's the date is November. Sorry, I wrote that down and I forgot. I apologize. I meant to put that in. It's November. What we're proposing is November 22nd, 23rd, 24th. So it's the week before Thanksgiving.
Weekend.
So Thanksgiving is super late. Yeah.
Thanksgiving's the 28th.
28th. So it's the weekend before. 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th. Okay, Frank, can you go to the next slide, please? Denver doesn't get much snow anymore. It's kind of crazy. So here is kind of the map. Shows where the airport is. Shows the middle one is where the hotel is, and then the proximity to downtown if someone would choose. I know a lot of times when we're at convention, we don't have a lot of time to go downtown. We already talked about staffing heavily in the bar, so we don't have any waits and things like that in the restaurant, stuff like that. Next slide. This is just kind of the tram that I mentioned earlier. To and from the airport's $9. 24 minutes on the tram if you choose not to rent a car. 14 minutes from that station downtown, and that's only $2.60.
That's from inside the airport?
Yep, it's, yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Next slide, please. Denver, you know, I'll let you guys read through this at your leisure. Says kind of just where proximity is to everything. It's 2 miles to Northfield. Northfield is a major shopping area. There's a big Bass Pro Shop there, huge, massive. A Target, again, half a dozen full service restaurants, a movie theater. So you can see there's just a ton to do in Denver, besides just smoke pot. But there is the weather in Denver is very mild anymore. I mean, not to say that it will be next year, but I mean, it's literally snowed 3 times this year, I think, and the most we've gotten one time was 3 or 4 inches. So kind of crazy what's happening here. Next slide. You can see here's a picture of the rooms, fully decorated. I'll be honest, when we walked in, like I said, I was Holiday Inns can be hit or miss. It's an excellent property, fully renovated, like I said, in 2018. All of the meeting space is, when you walk in on the upper level, there's 3 meeting rooms there, along with the restaurant. And then down 1 level, it's a massive staircase, so no congestion on the elevator if you need to walk, would be the convention body floor, and then 2 more meeting spaces. So on Friday, all of the meetings would be only 1 floor above each other. And then on Saturday and Sunday for convention, we'd be in a private area, so not open to anybody else. The bottom would be ours. And I think the next slide, please, has 1 more, if you don't mind. Here's the meeting space. The white is the lower level where we would be, and then the secondary level is the lobby level. So like I said, it's within 2 levels. Next please. And so that's kind of everything that we have. Happy to answer any questions that there are from the body. I believe so. I didn't check on that. That's a good point. I think that Amy just brought up potential. I haven't looked at the exact dates, but I think there's a huge Monet exhibit at the Art Museum, and it's the first tour stop, I think, in the U.S. or the only one.
It's a lot of stuff that hasn't been outside of Europe.
Yeah.
Also, there's a really good Irish pub and restaurant in the Stapleton area that's walking distance from the hotel. Just like that.
I know a lot of people in this room went to John and James' wedding, so it's at that hotel that was right next to them, and all of those restaurants and stuff. Yeah. So it's the same area. And if you're at a convention, you know the area as well. 5 years ago.
Jack, that's actually where we stayed at the wedding, was Holiday Inn right there.
It's a gorgeous.
Yeah,
well,
it is.
It's like I said, I couldn't believe it was Holiday Inn. It really is pretty phenomenal.
Didn't you forget one thing?
I would also like to make a recommendation to the executive board, or a suggestion that we raise registration fees by $10. Registration fees haven't been raised in over 10 years. And I know last year was a pretty substantial cost to Utah, along with some of the others. So that would be a recommendation that I would make.
I believe at lunchtime I'll go look and see, but in 2017, it looks like the board of directors set the registration fee for 2018 and 19 at a set price. I'm assuming that can be changed, of course, but it was set for 2 years in a row.
Okay. Kevin?
Correct.
But it can be, if he asks, it can be. Right?
Oh yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Okay. Kevin?
My understanding was it could be 125 or 150 in that range already without having to have any changes at all. So we chose to go with 125 instead of something higher. I think you can go as high as 150 already by what I remember reading.
Yeah.
We'll pull the wording in that way we can, but, okay. Any others? Ron?
I can tell you on that, when the delegate fee is set, it is the minimum. It's set, the rule says that the board
so it can be
sets
like
the minimum
range.
delegate fee.
Okay.
So it can be raised, yes.
Okay, so you don't even have to have a.
Well, it'd be good for them to tell you.
Yeah. So if you have that range from 125 to 150 already, Jack. So you would just tell us what the fee. Okay. Make a mention of what you would like the fee to be.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Certainly appreciate any consideration. We'd love to have you in Denver if we have the opportunity.
I appreciate CJRA doing this.
Do we need a motion to accept the bid?
Yes.
Yep.
So moved.
Second.
Second by Jeffrey. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Yippee!
Thank you very much. Look forward to having you and hosting you in Denver. We're going to have a big silent auction, so bring your wallets.
Ed Berry, somebody want to read his report? You want to read it? Okay.
Go ahead. Corporate Auditor Ed Berry sends the report by email. Report covering October through December 2018. Prior report to the period ending 9/30 delivered at convention 2018. Reviewed October through December 2018. He said I had full access to the books and records and related reconciliations of Azure A. I reviewed October through December bank reconciliations. They reconciled and agreed to the general ledger. I reviewed the income statements and balance sheets for both months, which include a comparison to the prior year. The income on the balance sheet agrees to the income on the income statements, and retained earnings rolled forward appropriately. There were 238 transactions for this period and a total of 238 items of deposit expenditures during this audit year. Some deposits expenditures covered multiple lines of detail. Using a random number generator found at random.org, a random sample covering 10% of deposits expenditures rounded up to 24 in the review period. All of the deposits examined tied to the general ledger and as did all transactions for the expenditures in the sample of the 24. Two fees are on the bank statement as they are electronic bank fees and stamps.com. There was only one exception for the period that is off less than $3, and I believe it is a credit card fee amount for the credit card payment. I will follow up with David for a resolution. All of the deposits and expenditures appear to be properly supported, either by receipt or fees found on hand. All expenditures received support conforms to the IRS publication 463 rules on receipt limits, i.e. 75 or higher. I am able to report to the IDRA Board of Directors that nothing out of the ordinary was noted in a sample of IDRA transactions other than the very insignificant one note above. I would like to thank our Treasurer, David Hill, for his continued excellent work. Please note, this is an internal review as described by the bylaws and is not nor is intended to be an external independent audit performed in accordance with general accepted accounting standards, and accordingly no opinion is expressed on the IDRA financial statement in that respect. Respectfully submitted, Ed Berry, August 14th, 2019.
Questions? Okay. Amy?
Got my report. The deadline for new nominations to be considered as part of the 2019 class are due no later than March 1st. The form's available on the website. You can email it to Tommy or print it out and put it in the mail. We're looking into alternate buckle designs and possibly changing the design of the Hall of Fame buckle. That's it.
Okay. Thank you. Well,
we would encourage associations to look at the EMS providers that they're hiring. A lot of times they are new medics or medics with zero experience. I've noticed that over the last couple of years. So just be mindful of the medics that you're hiring at the event. Brian also asked that we look into maybe grooming the arena between camp events.
Speed events and camp events, I think.
Do what?
Speed events and camp events, I think.
Right. And we're going to look into injury reports as to if we're really seeing an increase in injuries.
As we age. I want everybody to welcome Philip, aka Alexis, as the new health and safety. I chose him because of his medical background, and I was trying to breathe a little new blood into this, and then also using a medical background to help us where we might be failing. And I don't know if you heard exactly what he was saying is what he's experienced is everybody hires an EMT, right? Well, the problem is it's you need to ask for just a little better because they don't know. He's seeing that they don't know how to take care of our injuries. So I know that's kind of a big ask, but you might just see if it's ones that are used to working at rodeo events in the area or something like that, because they tend to be just a little different.
Are you calling on me or just
No, I'm thinking about we can build a wall right there. No, I'm just kidding. I'm messing with Gene. But
the only thing I want to say is that the only thing I want to say about that is our rules allow for the medical personnel that we have to have there to be 2 basic EMTs right now.
Okay.
There are certain, having worked as a paramedic and worked for an EMS system, everyone that I've ever known, you can request the level of staffing that you want for the ambulance. You pay accordingly, of course, but they're not going to let you hand pick your medics. So if they, whether they've worked at rodeos or not, if they're an EMTP, which is a paramedic, they should be able to handle all of our issues. I'm not saying they'll do it well, but they should be able to handle it. I'm just saying you have to be careful. It's a good idea to ask for at least an intermediate and an EMT and a paramedic. Those are your second highest and highest levels in that area, but you will pay for it, and that's about as far as you'll be able to go in what you ask for with the system most of the time.
Okay.
So what was the language? You said there were 3 levels?
Basic, intermediate, and paramedic.
Okay, thanks.
Jack?
I'd like to welcome Alexa and say thank you for the recommendation and suggestion. It's very valuable, and I wanted to say thank you. It's nice to have a new perspective, so I appreciate it.
And to that, this is where at convention or whatever, these kind of things, our requirements could be updated. Does that make sense? We can suggest everybody to certainly ask about it, which is great. That helps us. Certainly, everybody can ask, or they can decide what they want to pay and everything. But then conventions where we want to, your committee will make the recommendations. Okay.
And that's exactly why I said what I said, not to criticize what you said.
Nope, I understand. We understand.
Is it needs to be changed.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Christopher's not present, and I went ahead and talked about rodeo management. Do you want to say anything else?
Nope.
Okay. Membership, Michael.
I have not heard of any new associations forming. I did hear something about someone maybe trying to put something back together in Louisiana, but nothing has been formally said. So, and I'm not aware of any others coming on board or whatever.
And can I help? I'll say that for the ones that moved to recognize, we're here to, we're here to help do anything. And when it comes to convention, if you need help with having representation, kind of reach out, and that can be helped as well. You know, because that's the caveat. And maybe we look at changing something there. That just, you know, that's going forward. But we certainly don't. We appreciate everyone renewing. And that got into the final hours of everybody helping, and that just shows me that everybody's still trying, and so we want to help them revamp. So I reached out to several of them.
Yeah, I do want to add, Tommy and I had a lengthy conversation about, you know, how we think that got put in, you know, years ago, and I think we'll see changes proposed this year to reduce the severity of not being able to be at convention. We want to encourage participation. We don't want to discourage. So we're kind of stuck with the situation for this year, but there's people working to make it better for next year.
Yep, I agree. Next is membership standing. I think there's nothing right now except for Michael should have sent something out. We had a few people at the end of end of last year that everybody should have got a list of people that are in bad standing currently. Okay.
That email did go out.
That did go out. We might want to. Did you get?
I got it.
Okay, perfect. All right, good. Then we're good. All right. Marketing. We still struggle. So if anybody knows of anyone that has marketing experience, we would love to bring them on at IGRA. After I had Nugget post something, I had a couple of individuals reach out to me. They weren't even members of IGRA, but I told them, you know, we can certainly fix that. Still need to have some conversations, but I think that would be, not that it wouldn't work, but you know, you kind of want to have a little bit of background and what we need and stuff. So if anybody knows of anybody that can help with that, we certainly could use someone good. So we'll post something again and keep trying. Nominations, Frank, I assume there's nothing right now.
Yep. Brian stepped out of the room.
Brian will wait. Bruce? Oh, okay. At this point, I need a nomination to approve Bruce as the new ROC chair. It was my suggestion, but then I went reading in the bylaws, it has to be approved by the board, so.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Got that. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Huh?
You mean I really wasn't after all? I can say no.
Yeah, you didn't get out of it. So. Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not vote.
You have no vote right now.
There's a goat
Okay.
now.
So now, Mr. Rogan, do you have a report, or would you have to say?
I did submit a report to Michael that basically we don't have a report. The committee hasn't met yet as an official ROC committee. We've got a conference call coming up in a few days. I did participate with the judge's call to get kind of an idea of how the calls are conducted, what people talk about, and I was very impressed with the judge's call and how well they communicate with each other and discuss rule changes, issues that happens at the rodeo, and looking forward to their work coming up this year. I do have 2 people that have recently signed up for new certifications. Ken Wells out of Nevada has signed up for doing arena coordinator setup, and Billy Lassell from the new association in Canada has signed up to rework his certification as a scorekeeper. So we look forward to welcoming those 2 new officials this year, as well as those people that are currently in the program. So thank you.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. Brian, we'll move back to PR. Do you have anything to say? You got anything to say as the PR chair, sir? Okay, just checking. Didn't want to bypass you. What are your rules? I don't think there's anything right now. Nugget is not in the room.
He did submit.
Oh, he did submit a report, so we'll.
Which is fine.
Okay, he filled out his report that he sent in to the iDRAY Convention 2018, discussion of where we want social media to go and what is our purpose, decided what information will be posted on which of the iDRAY sites. There's no critical issues for the Board of Directors to take action on, submitted Anthony Lumpkins.
So be sure and use, Anthony, of anything that you want posted. We have the 2, the iDRAY and the team, or, you know, there's people that do the WGR if you need help, if you can't get to it, but y'all have access to that. Different social media, he'll take care of any of that for you.
He's very quick.
Yep. Frank, do you have anything?
I'd like to say that all the access to the secure areas, if your tenure as trustee has expired, and even if you have renewed, you have to let me know. New people need to send me an email with your requested username and password. Because the system is set so that when your tenure as posted on the iDRAY website ends, that account automatically becomes non-functional. So if you have been re-elected, then you need to let me know.
Okay, thank you. Sam, you want to give not everybody was in here for the WGR,
Sure.
so just give it.
Okay, so I have to be able to read that. One of the biggest things that we did is that we've I've been on the finals committee for a couple of years in the past. I never understood what the structure is, so we finally got that straightened out for the first time in my mind with what we're doing. So with the grants, which will be a big part of our income, those have been applied for. The fiscal year for Scottsdale is June 1st, so we are first in queue to be looked at for consideration of the grants. So we wouldn't get word on that till the first or second week of June to find out how much money and if we will. But I went through their office with them and they helped me in the process of filling out the application and everything. Brian also did one that got us banners across Old Town for up to a month, but we'll find out what they'll actually grant on that too in June. And we will, we're now having monthly conference calls, minimum of once a month, now that we've kind of got the structure and everything down, and we're moving forward. Buck, for the first time, who's the rodeo director, got to see Westworld and got to see the hotel just a couple days ago. So now when I talk about things to him, he understands a little better what I'm talking about and how nice the facility is. That's about.
Okay. Yeah. Do we have any deposit that we need for Westworld itself?
We signed a contract, but we never got a bill, I guess, because I signed a contract months ago, but
that's right. Did I sent one of you a message on that?
What we did, we took care of the hotel. I'm just wondering if there.
I think that's the one I was asking about.
Okay,
but
so
does Westworld have any deposit they require?
Let me look at that. For some reason, I thought half of the arena charge was supposed to done at the time of signing, but I need to look at the contract.
I can contract myself.
For sure.
Let me know.
Okay.
I was just going to say, from finals perspective, last year we were working through contracts up until mid-July, and we've already got the arena and the hotel contract signed and done. So that's a great improvement over last year.
Yep.
So remember that WGRF is ours. So I had got to talk to Sam about this because he's been in another world and so have I. So last year, Red River did a whole lot of fundraisers to help pay for WGRF. And this year, we're already starting, and I'll have to tell you that life happens, and I ran off and left the raffle tickets. But through Christmas, when the sales, I bought 2 big screen TVs. And I've got a flyer that I'll send to everyone. And we're doing it through Red River, so the paper trail is right or whatever, but the proceeds are going to go help WGRF, like the stalls, like we did last year with the TGRA stalls or whatever. The tickets are going to be like $5 each, but if you buy 4, you get the 5th one free. But they're brand new HD 55-inch big screen TVs. We'll give the first one away at TGRA Rodeo and the second one away at finals. Okay, and just so everybody worries, you don't have to be present, and we'll whatever through our methods, we'll get the TV to the people. Okay, whether it's in my trailer or whatever, somehow the TV will get there. Anyway, but what will happen is if anybody wants to help with this, and I encourage everybody, I'll sign out a set of tickets. I'll mail it when I get home. Box is sitting there, I'm sorry, but anyway, but I'll make sure everybody gets a copy of the flyer. But like if you want to get 100 tickets, then I'll sign them out to you, and we'll make sure we track it or whatever. But a majority of that money is going to go to pay for the stalls because the stalls are expensive the way they were at the WGRF. So Red River's starting early, and we're going to help out. I'm going to have a barrel race later on. We're going to do a lot of things to help pay for the WGRF. So I don't know if everybody knew, there was kind of a question on how we possibly made money this year on WGRF, but that's how. When we go ahead and we're proactive and we pay for all these things up front, then we make money. And so I encourage these other associations. I know you worry about your own stuff, and I encourage you to do all you can. But don't forget about IGRA as well and help paying for our finals, because that's our only income, or it was. Now it'll be a little different. But that's one of the biggest things. And I remember this guy's smiling face at me when we were sitting there at convention and realized how much money we had made. But it was a huge effort. But it was a huge effort on a lot of people's parts for sponsors and to do extra things to pay for it. And then we're not just paying out everything. A lot of the stuff got paid for ahead of time. So that's on Red River's part. That's one of our deals we're gonna do, and so we have. Go ahead.
I mean, I know it would be a transportation thing, but is it possible that the box, at least the box for that,
The
could
box
sit?
with the TV will be at all the rodeos. Yes. Anyway, I didn't. I'll have to tell you, it didn't come from this one, and it's but right now I don't know the tickets anyway, so I apologize. But I hope everybody knows. But I have a huge whiskey barrel, and I'll lie Jerry's merchandise in the trailer right now. You can figure out the whiskey barrel, Sam.
You could probably just bring the box.
I know, I will.
You don't have to
anyway,
bring the TV.
well, it's kind of secure in there, but anyway.
Okay.
So that's a deal that we'll, I'll have it posted pretty quick, and anybody wants sets of tickets to help, just let me know.
Price per ticket?
It's $5 each.
Okay.
But when you buy 4, you get the 5th one free. So if you pay if you give $20, you're gonna get 5 tickets.
Right.
How's that? Okay.
Love it.
All right.
I don't know if you're aware, but Mitzi Michaels did a hee-haw show for finals and brought in $655.
Wow.
Very nice.
That's wonderful. Yeah, you go. Anyway, so
Nice.
I didn't get the opportunity.
No, that's right. And that actually one of the things that we are going to do, we're going to ask every association to do a fundraiser,
Yeah.
and we're going to assign someone to with that follow up and to be that liaison for that portion of what we're doing.
Okay. Great. Okay. Women's outreach, I think you can.
Yeah, I have her report sent out with all the other attachments. Oops. I thought I don't have it.
It wasn't included.
Yeah, I don't have a report.
Okay. Well, she's supposed to be here. So Jeffrey, University.
Hi there. So I don't have a formal report. I'll send a document that I'll ask for Michael to send to the associations, but we're to the point, as I promised last year, that we are ready to make a substantial committee structure and put it in place. I have a schedule created starting in March to do a conference bridge. We need to start getting, I have gotten a lot of input. Let me start there. I have gotten a lot of input. There is a lot of data. There is directions in which we can go. I need to reach out to several of the committee members in the IGRA Association, because there are things that we could do that will enhance the entire association. The mission and vision of what university will be and do for IGRA, member and connected associations, potentially is way bigger than we've ever really put to it. Can we hold a class and have people come in and sit there and listen to somebody drone on? Yes, we can. Can we take information that's changed each year at a convention and try and bullet point out the changes? Sure, absolutely we can. Do we have a staff of people that sit around and do what educators in our country do to make sure that things are covered, to make sure that you follow guidelines, to make sure that you have traceable acknowledgement that somebody took a class, that somebody understood the information, that somebody tested out, that somebody can use the information in their own, that they can interact with an instructor, that they can do all these things? Well, as you can see, we're way not there. So I just went through, for example, I need to have a conversation with Chicken Nugget because social media. Social media has been a discussion for the last almost 10 years for our associations, partially because many of the members are trying to understand what is social media, you know, kind of like what is the internet. And beyond that, now there are so many formats with which you can do it, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, any of these chats, etc. Now you're asking people that don't really utilize that as a common form of communication. Okay, now how do I use this to the benefit of our association? And in my interactions with people over the last almost year, I've been asking those questions. You know, if we did stuff, what is it that you would want us to try and do to help you so that you could turn around and be better at what you do for your association and for IGRA? It comes down to communication and promotion. It comes down to training for positions, training for competition, implementation of the rules, understanding what are the boundaries, competition formats, education for preventing injury. Thank you so much for bringing what you have. You and I can talk this weekend, I hope, so that we can have input from your area. But how do we get all that information in one place, and then how do we disseminate what's a priority over another and how much is available and get it to somewhere, and then, good Lord, once we get it all combined, it's not like the archives where once we have it and we know we have it, we can click a button and see a picture of it and it's always going to be the same. This stuff has to be updated constantly. You can't put something from 1999 on your website and expect that the data is still going to be the same interpretation today as it was in 1999. It just isn't the way life works anymore. So I have the pleasure of being able to overwhelm anybody that wants to talk to me about this, because it's beginning to take over the other half of my brain that isn't in my real world of work. But what I am committing and what I am doing is putting together an accountability structure. This is no longer Jeffrey trying to pull this together by himself and make sure that everything's there. This is going to be Jeffrey managing a project to make university work so that it's available to all of you. And in order to do that, I'm going to be sending out a letter to all associations that basically is saying this: we are going to be meeting monthly. We are going to actually engage this committee for the rest of this year so that we can produce what university will be. We want to share our framework, we want to cultivate our mission, we want to communicate the status and action of what we're saying, what I've been saying we're doing, and we want to provide accountability to all associations from me that ensures we accomplish these goals. In other words, you're going to know what we're working on and you're going to know when it's coming forth. I'm working to get the information designed to a common space where any member can go, ask questions, look at it, check statuses, whether that's a Google Drive, a web page, a training site, or particularly a spot where on the internet everybody has access. It's not going to be restricted. It's not going to be hidden. This is just a project of how are we going to get all of this data, first of all, accumulated, and second of all, produced in the various areas so that it can be managed. Third, I'm working on identifying the most simple points to support any member association. What are the rodeo basics? Organizing and how-tos. How do we set up a board? How do we set up a committee? How do we conduct business in our normal association that rolls up and supports what we do at the IGRA level? And I want to put down key deadlines so that we have points where which we can answer to all of us to say, these things are the things we've accomplished in the last X period of time, these are the things that we have on deck, and these are the areas where we have need. This is a huge job. I understand. It's volunteer. We are all volunteers. Tremendous potential here is that we are going to be able to provide an IGRA benefit to the member associations by doing what I'm hoping we're going to get further along here. So now with that, I'm going to be sending to the associations a call for representation, help. If there's somebody that's an educator that wants to get involved in this type of thing, and it's a long-term commitment, great. But we need to now start taking what I have in charts and grids and on paper in lists and get it into mediums that people can now start accessing and using this information and make university what it can be. I also need to reach out. I had one scope of interest for a host organization for a January 2020 university location. Unfortunately, I have not talked to them since November, so I need to find out if that is still a consideration or in the works, and I'll have to bring that to the May meeting. And that's my verbal report for you today.
Any questions? Okay, is now a good time? What time is lunch, Ron? Is 12 for lunchtime?
Yes, I'm glad you asked. I've been waiting for it because nobody knew.
I'm sorry.
Yes, there's a buffet lunch set up here. Go next door to eat. If I can comment on that, it would be very helpful when you're having board meetings to communicate timely with the association about how many people to expect, because we paid for 50 people and not 50 people here. So, but yes, it's set up in the hallway now. And then this afternoon, when you're in the trustees meeting around 2:30, there's complimentary refreshments, food again about 2:30, compliments of the hotel.
I believe you sent out a request for people to respond. Is that correct?
No, I didn't ask Michael.
I did.
Someone did.
Yeah.
To let me, but I never
I
got any response.
I didn't know it needed to be done, so I sent out a request.
I responded.
And
I didn't get it.
Yeah, and I only got a handful of responses. But
Well, I'm just saying it would be very helpful to the association where they're providing lunch.
Yeah.
We have that expense.
Yeah.
Have a kind of a good idea.
Going forward, I know to do that now, so I'll make sure it gets done.
That's right. That's right. Pretty simple.
No food for you.
That's right. No food for you.
So,
That's if we have the right email.
how about a 45-minute lunch? Sound good? Okay. So, was there any any committees that I missed? Okay. Next on the agenda is recognized associations. I'll let Michael talk a bit about it. We kind of touched it several times earlier.
Yeah. This came up at convention, and just so everyone's all on the same page, Great Plains, Migra, and Sacramento, and Suwannee River are the 4 associations that are currently in recognized status. There's been some emails and phone calls between convention and now as to why are they recognized and what does it take to get them back to member status. Per our bylaws, the only time that you can go from recognized status to member status is at convention. So that way everyone's all on the same page and we know the situation, and I think that's all, just everyone's all on the same page and informed.
Okay. Any questions? All right, we'll move on to new business. Current membership list. Hopefully everybody sent those to Michael and copied Tommy or David on them, right?
We've got about 50% of what we're supposed to have. So the ones that still have not sent your membership in for 2019, I will email you and say, please forward your membership list and send it to me and Tommy.
For my education reasons, how would we know whether the members are in good standing to be here? We go with the membership list that we have in the book, in the membership book. Some
want those membership lists in the book that we have at the rodeos. Some cases, it may be September, and the membership list we have in that book is from January. So.
Okay, well, I'm gonna again repeat, because this happened last year, because members that weren't hadn't paid their Red River membership competed. So shouldn't we? I think it's a requirement, right?
Correct. The rodeo secretaries have to check membership of all contestants at the rodeo. So if people are competing and they were not on that membership list, then that rodeo secretary.
Oh, well, what I'm saying is what you're telling me is you're using the prior year to approve them for this first rodeo. We shouldn't do that, right?
Correct.
I mean,
It depends on the association's membership.
It depends on when it rolls over.
ASRA has a vote each year, and we have a 40, I guess it's like a 50-day
grace
period to get them past this rodeo, and then we're going to send out a new list next week that knocks off the old people.
But
so it's your own
okay, that's
internal.
y'all. But the other ones, then you put it on to the association to chase that person down, and I have to disagree
I'm
with
just
that.
sending a new list.
No.
But you should be sending one in prior to this first rodeo.
We did last year, and
even if it has last year's dates on it.
Yeah, we did.
And that's fine.
So the way the process works, the rodeo secretaries are trained. If David Hill shows up on the membership list for Colorado, that's in that book, regardless of the date. If he's on that, if that's on the list we have, and it says he's a member, then the rodeo secretary is going to he's on the membership list. Now, if that membership list hasn't been updated, and we have some associations where the list was 2 years old, and it's been in the past. So, yeah.
I understand that's the process, and I knew that already. I understand that, but correct me if I'm wrong, but the rules say that every association must send a updated list prior to the.
It does say that, yes.
So therefore, that's saying, in my mind anyway, what that's saying is at January 1, just to cover it, to make sure it's before the first rodeo of the season, those lists in that book are of no value anymore. None whatsoever, because of that rule. Because of that rule that says you have to send one before.
Well, the certified officials have raised this issue at rodeos and rodeos and rodeos, and the trustees do nothing about the associations not following the rules. So if you want to issue a $50 fine to the association not having a membership list, fine. But the way we are currently, our process is, if they're on that list in the membership book, we're going by that list.
Okay, but
regardless of the date.
I understand that, but it's no longer valid. I mean, during the year I can see that.
Yeah.
During the year I can see that. But based on our rules, that list is no longer valid on January 1st.
The rule does not say that.
It says prior to the first rodeo of the season. So it would have to be on Friday night, in my mind, if that association didn't send an updated list before tomorrow night, or before tonight,
yep.
They accept this, and a member shows up and you haven't been able to validate his because they didn't send a list.
The rule does not say that the old list is invalidated.
Okay. Well, it does by implication. If it says
what's in the rule and implication, there's two different things.
Well, it's not, Michael. I mean, a rule can be written so that it means something. Every rule has a meaning behind it.
And every meaning has
and if it says you must, then you must.
If did you say me?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it, Madam President. If that's the issue in question, maybe we should just ask for an interpretation right here and now.
Trustees do the interpretations, not the board. Trustees do interpretation of the governing documents.
So we could do an interpretation right here and now and be done with it. Correct, Chuck?
The trustees handle interpretation of the governing documents. This is
competition.
This is a board of directors.
Right, but what I'm saying is that trustees can interpret it today.
They don't do bylaws, they do standing rules, they're related to competition.
Yeah, okay.
The trustees handle all interpretation for all governing documents. Bylaws, standing rules, and rodeo rules.
I think that changed at convention this year.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Then I stand corrected.
So if we've got 30 contestants that are not on the membership list, then all of a sudden we take you out of the rodeo and you're done.
No, but you'll be contacting your trustee and getting it resolved. I mean, you're putting it on IGRA and it should be on the association. Right?
Michael, you said that things changed at the convention this year. Where did this issue land as a result of the change? Did it land in the board of directors or the board of trustees?
Board of directors.
This issue landed in the board of directors.
Yeah.
That's my understanding.
So we can address it right now.
That's my understanding.
Can you cite the bylaw?
I think Ron can help with this too, because it's so technical that you have to have the pages numbered, you have to have all this different stuff.
Yeah.
And so, to me, I'm weighing on Gene's side or whatever. I don't think this is, at the end of the year, if in your association, like Michael says, well, then Michael would just go ahead and for 60 days send that membership until it's resolved.
It was sent
Exactly.
in January.
But for other associations like Red River or whoever that stopped December 31st, if you don't send one that's dated January or February, then you're not compliant and your members are not eligible until you send that. That's the way I understand this rule.
Or the trustee can verify it at the rodeo.
Anybody else want to weigh in on that one, Jeffrey?
I just want to ask a point of clarification from the secretary. So what is the instruction to the member associations? To send a membership list for the current calendar year prior to the first rodeo and during the year updates as they come in? Or once a month? Or what's the understanding?
The rule says you submit a membership list at the beginning of the rodeo year, and then you should submit any updated membership list as those lists are changed or updated or people expired or whatever.
It's Standing Rule IX, membership lists and cards. It's on page 46, and maybe Frank can pull it up and put it on the screen.
Oh, great. Standing rule.
It's actually 15 days prior to the beginning of each rodeo year. It could be December 15th. December 16th. It says in addition to the requirements for application, each member and recognized association will send a current membership list to the IGRA office within 15 days prior to the beginning of each rodeo year. Periodic updates will be sent at the discretion of each member or recognized association.
So, Ron?
Hang on. Jeffrey was still.
So, I know that my organization has sent you lists, so I know that we're in compliance, I hope. But interpreting the rule exactly black and white as Chuck read it, as it should be, our association changes over years January 1st. So I know my association has sent them a January list because I made sure of it, but we would be out of compliance sending them last year's list on December 15th, and it would have to be updated again. So you're going to get 2 lists within 30 days. Probably need to look at the wordsmithing of the rule if there's other associations that change over on calendar year the same as we do.
I do have to point out that I am on the website and I am looking at the standing rules, and it is the 2018 version. So I don't think we have the 2019 on here. So I can't even say if that's accurate now. So.
Well, I sent the updated 2019 out to everybody end of December.
Can we get this updated on the website?
I don't, that's out of my control. Yeah.
None of it changed. There was no changes to that, but I believe we do need to work with that as a county convention. Bruce, did you have something? I think you had your hand up a while ago.
I was just mentioning that, not every association renews annually. California's been a rolling membership we renew every month. Though I have to say that our membership chair has been extremely diligent over the last few years, and every month he sends out the updates and includes IGRA with our most current updated list. Also follows the rules with numbered lines, total number of members, alphabetical. I mean, he's spot on.
Brian?
Question for Frank Harold. Frank, now, I thought that it had been updated, I see it wasn't.
So you have a copy of it?
I don't have it with me.
I'm sending it to you right now, Frank. I'll send it to you right now.
What are you looking for a copy of?
The,
Oh,
they're sending it right
2019
now.
standing rules.
Okay, because the bylaws are on the website, and trustees are responsible for competition. Board of directors is responsible for bylaws. Interpretations. That hasn't changed in 100 years or 20 years anyway.
Wait a minute, maybe I do have it. I see the problem.
So, any other, do you know who hasn't? Do you have a list of who hasn't sent in?
I don't.
The membership book is right down there with Pork Chop if you want to go through it.
Well, I'm looking at North Star and it says January of 18. Gene, do you have anyone?
We sent one, I know. I'll look for it.
From NS?
Huh?
From North Star? Yeah.
So it just wasn't printed as updated?
Oh, I have it.
Okay, so that's.
Didn't you just
It took
send it
me
this morning?
months to get him to do it. but-
Yeah, I have it.
Okay. So that's probably the identifying who, I think we addressed,
Okay, it's
we have
fixed.
the trustees here, that's, we need to identify who isn't. Right? I think we can address it right here and fix it. Okay, Pork Chop, can you tell us who doesn't have a one that's dated 2019?
Working on it. Hold on. Canada.
Frank?
The issue on the website is fixed.
Thank you.
It was simply a file case sensitivity problem.
Okay.
Scratch paper.
Tommy got the North Star this morning. I forwarded on to.
Well, not necessarily got it this morning.
So he can print it out for his setup.
There's also a rule in rodeo rules where if a contestant is not shown on the current association membership list, that they can verify with the trustee.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, that would help too, right? So that, did everybody hear what he said? Because I've had to do that before, back when I was. If you don't show on there, you can have your trustee confirm with the secretary that you are a current member. So there's a way there too. So Jack?
I would just, I think I know, pardon me, excuse me. I know that Pork Chop's going through the list right now.
Okay.
I would just ask him to maybe take a couple-minute break while he does that so that we can say which lists are.
5 minutes?
That's up to you, man.
Yep. 5 minutes. Be back at 2:16 or 1:16. Sorry, I'm on
Still on our
Central
time.
Time.
Yeah.
You mean 3:16?
Yes. Whatever.
Swanee River, they're no longer.
I think they might have paid late.
No, they're one of the.
SRRA is one of the recognized.
Recognized.
Yeah, but that's because it didn't show up at convention. But I vaguely recall that they did.
That would be a David question.
Well, yeah.
Are you down here?
Maybe I was texting you. I never noticed. I wasn't, but I'm just saying, maybe I was.
She's already a full-fledged board member.
She's a what?
Full-fledged board member.
I was just drinking my coffee.
Well, Jackie's not here.
We have my list, let's go to Tommy's list. Like catch up on the homework.
you get printed for the book?
I think Chanel. So now here's this list, and now you tell me which ones you sell.
Okay, North Star.
That's my row.
You get that at the end.
Okay.
And then it's paid out according to the.
Yeah, right, yeah. Okay, so, okay, got it. You're grab each ten. Okay.
Yeah, add it to the.
Yeah. I just.
Well, they would take me.
Okay.
I didn't set the time for the ring.
Candy, it's gonna take longer than 5 minutes
Okay.
to do this. Let's do, by registration.
Well, how about this?
Well,
Why don't
no, we can address it right now.
Why don't we find out who sent them?
Yeah. Well,
Right? I mean, the people.
we can move on to other things and come back to this, but I
Correct.
want to address it, today.
Well,
But if they haven't sent it, then they already sent it.
it's just checking.
Yes, I agree. Yep. Ron brought up a point too that maybe, I mean, we're gonna have to re-wordsmith this whole thing in convention. I can see it now, but if someone's in bad standing or not in good standing, we might, even though they're a member, we might need to make sure that you notate that for the IGRA. You know, if you don't take them off the list or they're in bad standing, we need to make sure that we identify that going forward. Okay, we'll come back. Well, I gave everybody 5 minutes. I gotta wait 1 more minute.
Did anybody leave?
Did anybody leave? No? Okay. All right, then we'll move forward then. Okay. So we'll move back to that. Current association officers' email and phone numbers. Do you know who you don't have?
I don't have the list with me, but I sent out an email and asked for the officers and their contact information, and I have less than 50% response. But I can go and say, these are the ones I don't have.
Okay.
I didn't have that level of detail with me.
Okay. Moving forward, let's try to, that way we can address things on what's missing. Okay, we already took care of the insurance. NGRA rodeo application.
Has been respectfully submitted.
Okay. There wasn't any there was no variances or anything like that, right?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Any questions?
What year are we talking about?
2019.
2019.
I had it in November, but I didn't have signatures from our illustrious leadership team, so I had to send it to them. So we're
But haven't I gotten the money
Do
already?
you have the check?
I believe you did, because as soon as you told us, they paid
That's
us.
good news. Okay.
I think it's it may be the only rodeo on the calendar that doesn't show to be already approved.
Yes.
Have a motion to approve.
So, just a question about it, because based on the rules, doesn't it have to be approved at the last board meeting, the board meeting of the year prior to it being held? So because it was submitted, but it just didn't have all the information on it, is that why we're doing it today?
Or 60 days, or at least 60 days prior.
No, that's for a variance.
6 months.
6 months.
6 months.
6 months.
And their rodeo is more than 6 months out.
Okay. I'm just trying to understand.
Need a motion to approve.
So moved.
David, second by
I'll second.
Dave or Michael. So any other discussion on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Thank you very much.
All right, then along with that, they have a rodeo rodeo.
We
school
are
request?
requesting to do a rodeo school that weekend as well.
Okay. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Jack?
Second.
Who's the second?
Amy? Any discussion on that?
When do we pay the $500 out?
After completion.
After completion?
That's not the rule. Did it change? That's what was wrong before, because people need it. It's called, we discussed this and changed it because, it's supposed to be helping them out with it, because usually it's paid for stock or whatever, so we changed that rule that it could be, once it's approved, it can be paid. Huh?
Paid in advance.
Paid in advance, but what is support? The word support is on what it's called. And so we had this discussion and the executive board changed that. So that went away about having to wait till after the fact because it's the word support. Okay? So it can be paid out after approval. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Thank you very much.
Abstentions? Okay. Next is the same for Red River, which has already happened.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I'm just curious, does the rule say you have to apply for the money before the event, or is there any?
We took all that away. There really wasn't a rule, but what everybody was doing was they were, the form would come in, you'd have your deal, then a board meeting might happen like 4 months later and stuff, and so we discussed it and changed it where all that went away.
Okay, so there's no timing issue.
There's no timing issue.
Fine, that's all.
There's just some requirements. They updated the form at convention. You know, the form was just updated as far as you got to have a number of events and things like that. So that's all that got.
I'm good. I just didn't want to make sure I wasn't voting to break a rule.
The form hasn't been updated because I just took this off there. It says 21 days prior to the rodeo school.
Sam sent it in.
Application was made too.
Frank, can you update that form, the rodeo school?
Send me a copy.
Okay.
I'll do it this evening.
All right. Thank you, Chuck, for letting us know. I could have sworn I printed the newest one off. Isn't that the one I had to say it requires 6 events and everything?
The one that you did for Red River has it on there, the 21 days.
So, and I got it off the website, so I don't know what happened.
That's where I got mine on too.
Okay. Oh, Frank?
I'd like to make a suggestion on a lot of these forms. Some of them change year to year, some of them don't. Rather than putting a date at the top of the form, I'd say this is the 2019 form. Leave the date off and put a note at the bottom of the form the last time this particular one was updated. That way, you don't have to update the form every single year, just because it's got a date at the top of it.
Okay. Well, what I was saying is that at some point you had it updated because the form that we did for Red River is the correct form, and I got it off of IGRA, so I don't know what's changed.
I received a bunch of forms recently. I didn't pay any attention to them. I just simply posted them.
Okay.
So one of those may have been the wrong one.
Okay. All right. So, any discussion on Red Rivers? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Abstention. Okay. The next one is the DSRA rodeo school request form. Is it the correct form?
So moved.
Okay. Chuck?
Second.
Randy, second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Okay. Perfect.
Michael, did you want to squeeze CGRAs in there?
Okay. Is it on?
It's not.
Okay.
It's attached.
Okay. We have another one for CRGRA. Oh, this is hard for me to say. Oh, Brian, sorry.
Go ahead with the CGRA.
Well, I think we're still on guidance date. Did we vote on that?
Yeah.
are we still approved, is IGRA still supporting 6 per year? Is that,
It's on the newest form does say that.
yeah, it says IGRA may support up to 6 rodeo schools a year in the amount of $500 each, depending on the available bids. So are we at 6 now, or are we at 5
Well,
now?
we could, these are, based on, did we have some at convention that were voted, that were passed for this year?
Correct, we did. DSRA was our third one. And then, and then GRA put one in at convention.
Okay, so that's, so now we're 4 or 5?
So there's one left? There's one spot left?
Well, and we can, that's not a rule, we can change that. I think we can, this was, we wanted to promote this and it's taking off, so I think it's a great deal. And we added some money back to the budget last year from some programs that went away, so we can certainly change that.
So do we want to make a motion to change the maximum from 6 to 10?
I'm not making that motion.
We don't need to yet.
No, we were just clarifying that right now we would have, with all the ones there, we would be at 12.
Okay. Now, New Mexico, so we have Canada, New Mexico.
We
have to hold it.
Okay, well, where I'm going with this is Nevada and Canada, and I thought we were limited to 2 then.
We don't have divisions anymore.
So what are the 5?
New Mexico,
Nevada,
Nevada, Red River, Diamond State, New Mexico. We already put that one.
Yeah.
Canada.
And then Canada will be next if we. I was just fixing to. We needed to make the motion to approve it. The only reason, Brian, that we were bringing up the 10 right now is that we do Canada, right? There's only one spot, but we hope to promote more, so that's we do that and then.
I'm all for that.
Okay, so I need do we have the motion for the Canada in a second?
What?
A motion to approve Canada's?
You want me to make a motion? Motion.
Okay, second, Brian? Jeffrey? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, right?
I'm sorry, is this for rodeo school?
Rodeo school.
Got it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. We'll do it the next one if we don't do it now. Okay, that's fine. That's all right. There's no limitation. So, okay.
The 21 days is in the.
Okay, good. So the next, New Mexico's, Brian?
As it relates to just the form, so that we don't get into this again.
Okay.
I echo Frank's comments. We do need an as-update on the forms. The current form for rodeo school support request, if you look at the bottom of the form,
okay, it
says social media chair information here, chicken nugget info. Michael, are you the owner of the form?
I guess, yeah. So I can update the form. I can update the form to be whatever we need to do.
I think the point there was to have chicken nuggets contact information there so that the rodeo school could be promoted on social media.
Absolutely.
But right now it just says, if you have a look at the form, it just says chicken nugget info. It's a placeholder.
Where's that?
If you look at the rodeo school application, support request form.
Okay.
Okay, we'll update.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll get that updated right away, Brian. Okay, the next is, New Mexico's rodeo date change.
Yes, sorry about the voice, I got a little laryngitis. The city of Santa Fe, who's a major supporter of our rodeo, has asked us to move the rodeo from August to a time frame in June because of the number of events that are going on in August. We've chosen the last weekend of June. After much deliberation, trying to fill a hole in the schedule, and we are requesting our rodeo dates be the 28th through the 30th at the rodeo school on the 28th rather than on the previously selected dates.
Brian, I'm going to be the elephant in the room. Do you see any problem with a low attendance because you have Colorado versus Santa Fe and having kind of back-to-back weekends?
Well, that's a potential, Candy, and I'm glad you brought it up. We don't have any other potential dates that we could go to for a number of reasons.
Okay.
Either the facility is not available in the weeks, the 2 weeks in June prior to this date. The PRCA rodeo is there, so that's not available to us. Earlier in June, the rodeo director is not available earlier in June. So, from my understanding, the rodeo director has had a conversation with some folks in Colorado, and at this point, it's a case of it is what it is. We don't really have another date that we can choose.
Okay.
But I understand your point.
Yeah, I just was asking. Okay. Amy?
I understand how difficult this is for you guys because you've had set dates or set part of the month for such a long time, and it's in people's mind, oh, it's the middle of August, we're going to Santa Fe. I, for one, will be sad to not be in Santa Fe in the middle of August because it's fabulous. But this is, to my mind, this is no different than Bay Area and Bighorn being on consecutive weekends. And for a lot of people that haul, they're likely to turn it into a road trip where they hit both places. And I think we need to remember that as producing associations, we're not making our money from contestants, we're making them from spectators, sponsors, etc. So I applaud you guys for taking this step, and I think that we should support it.
Don't misunderstand, I wasn't non-supporting.
No.
I just was asking the...
I mean, it's going to suck for me. I'll only be in the office 2 days that week. But
yeah, right.
Just to be very clear, Candy has really helped us look at all the potential dates. And this situation has been going on for well over a month now, and in consultation with Candy, we've looked at all kinds of potential dates and the pros and cons of all of the dates, including September dates, including dates later in September that would, just would not work out. This is really the only option that we have left.
Really. And Amy, to answer to your point, you can ask my wife if I didn't already ask her about the week.
I'm sure.
So I mean, that's what some people will do, and it's like what the Bay Area, Las Vegas deal. But I wanted to ask Brian because I know there's some people that don't do that, so I want to make sure that to bring it out. Any other discussion? Oh, I need a motion.
So moved.
Randy?
Second.
Second by Chuck. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Abstention? Okay. Frank, did anybody, do you have the new dates for that? Oh, you already have it. Never mind. It's
It's
there.
been on the website for a few days.
Whoa. Okay. Okay, we already did the convention. DSRA variance, and what is the variance?
For the arena. They determined, I'm gonna help Wes out here. The folks, they found out that the state fairgrounds is using they reported the size of the indoor arena size as the covered arena size. the arena that Diamond State uses is a little bit smaller than what is in the actual.
Oh, the verbiage in all these years?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're just needing, I can pull up they sent the attachments, I'll pull it up just a second. Give you the exact measurements they submitted last night.
It's 100 like the trustee sheet. 175. It's the same arena.
Yeah.
Same arena we've always used. They just didn't have the right measurements whenever they submitted. Okay.
So just look at the long line.
Yeah. 100 by 175.
Need a motion to accept?
So moved.
Chuskin, second by Jeffrey. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Abstentions? Okay. Unless, Buck, did you, I think we all took care of the WGF earlier, unless you want to talk about sponsorship tax.
No, not necessarily. We just want to make sure.
You know what we can do? Since we brought this up a while ago, the Jack Daniels contract got sent to me in RAC, and I told Laura. And then we also, when we read it a while ago, it just says $2 million. It doesn't say $5 million, so it's not going to cost us $24.75. It's for $4,000. So I need a motion, I guess, for approve for me to sign it. Jeffrey?
I didn't know if you had.
Need a second? Randy? Any discussion?
How much is it?
$4,000 for the WGRF. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Abstentions? Perfect. Oh, Brian knows a little bit about this. I know a little bit about this. Buck is the one. Buck.
Big word.
Sorry, I was asking for.
He can tell a little bit more about it. There's two gentlemen that will be here. The one guy is going to, what I was told was take snapshots with his phone. It's Corbin and what is the other young
Luke
man?
Guilford.
Huh?
Luke Guilford.
Luke, that's right. Anyway, Ron, they got with Ron about approving, and I think they were asking us about the use of the logo whenever he posts stuff on social media, the way I understand it. What I read, I didn't have any problem with it. I think Brian, same way. So, I guess, do you want this approved here?
So there's two contracts that they're asking for that are releases for them to use our logo. And as Candy mentioned, I read through the release. It's just a simple release to use our logo on materials. And there you go.
This is for WGRF or just in?
No, it's just IGRA. They're going to do little documentary deal with pictures. I would call it, we're getting some free promotional spotlight. So, Amy, he said it wasn't a professional photographer. He's going to take everything with his phone and kind of follow Corbin around.
What I was wanting to ask is there a clause in the release that should we find it being used inappropriately, that we can terminate the release and require it to be removed, or is it one of those, is it an open-ended release where we have no control over it once we get released?
I can't answer that question.
It just seems to me like we would want to have a way to withdraw it if we find the logo being used inappropriately.
You want to read it?
Oh, let me pull it.
Slants through it as well. I didn't see anything like that, but Gene, if he wants to read it, we can.
Oh, it's in the attachment.
Oh, okay.
Can you send it to me?
determines appropriateness.
Yeah.
Well, we own the logo, so we would.
Who's we, Gene? We have to convene every time something comes up.
No. It wouldn't. It would just mean that if we found something, we would have a way out of it without it in there. I have people sign releases for logos every day in my business, and if I give them, if they give me a release, it has in there that if I should use it at any time inappropriately, then they have an action to have it. It'd be my responsibility to take it down or get the document, the item back that I embroidered on, or whatever the case may be. It'd be my responsibility to do that. And so if someone stumbled without that, what I was told, and without that in there, I could do what I wanted, and they had no legal bearing to require me to do anything else. That's all I'm saying.
Frank, can you mute for a moment? Sorry.
And you can call, I will report to the board what membership list we need. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. DSRA. Oh, sorry. Canada first.
It's on its way.
Okay. DSRA.
Wait, Wes, do you have a way to get one today?
I was told it was mailed when I sent something to Michael, and Sandy said she mailed it.
Mail?
Or emailed it.
Email.
She emailed it to him like the 3rd of January.
Okay.
3rd of January.
Was Tommy copied on it?
Lisa did it.
Okay.
I'll go back.
All right.
GPRA.
Nope, but I doubt I would almost.
KS. Keystone. Nobody in the room.
Okay.
Magra.
I'm here if there's any questions. So
Okay. Can you?
I've already sent messages.
Thank you.
Okay.
And MGRA we've already taken care of. On its way. And SRRA.
Just Mellon's and Michael.
Sandy sent a list of the board of directors to me at the end of December.
Yes. Just Michael.
And Tommy.
Just Michael. Just Mellon's Michael.
I should be as well.
Yeah, definitely.
And Bruce, so we can print it out.
That's what I've got.
So,
There's the NDA.
all right. So there's the list. So the appropriate, we need to send Gene notice since we.
I remember that.
Okay. So Wes is addressing Diamond State. Did you say something, Jack?
It's just Canada, Diamond States, KSGRA. Was there one more?
Me.
Migra?
Oh, Migra.
Yeah.
In Swanee River.
And Swanee River.
Thank you. It was actually 7.
Okay. Keystone was another one. Okay.
They better get a hold of us.
Yeah. So that will be, there's no representation of trustee.
I'm going to reach out to Adam right now.
Okay, but it has to be.
I know.
Okay.
Oh, no.
So Canada, Diamond States, KSGRA, Migra, Swanee River, Keystone. Who's the 7?
No.
No, no.
He's getting ready to come.
Canada, DSRA,
Canada.
GPRA, KSGRA, MIGRA, and MGRA, SRRA.
But New Mexico.
Right.
So what, but they gave you membership list in
Not me.
Sorry, Jack.
I'm sorry. So what is the rule on membership list then? I'm sorry.
It's actually supposed to be
Within 15 days of the
15
beginning of the
days
year.
prior to the year, so December 15th, so not many of us, I thought it was, myself, I just have to be honest, I thought it was like 30 days out from the, right in January, so.
So these 7 associations didn't meet that. What do we do about that? Since they didn't meet that 15 days?
There is no fine, but what we're saying is they haven't submitted one, period.
Right.
So.
What do we do with their contestants?
We're just
So
asking.
we were worried about their contestants, so your second deal is that your trustee can verify you, but there's no trustee, like for Katie, we were just saying for Keystone, we know that there's a couple of contestants here, we have no list for them, and we have no trustee. So that's.
We did get an email from the association that Mark will be the alternate trustee at the rodeo. He's planning to compete.
That's Keystone.
And that's Keystone.
Yeah, that's for Keystone.
So he would verify himself.
It doesn't say they have to be here. What it says, and I'll read it again, it just says from that section, rodeo secretary is not able to verify an individual's membership either from those lists received from member or recognized associations, a valid membership card, or from their association's trustee prior to the close of registration. Then the individual must join any member or recognized association in order to compete. To complete
Okay, but we
registration.
don't, but my understanding, Chuck, I was confused about that as well, because an email came from Jeff Singleton, who resigned, saying he wasn't gonna be here, and my question to him, because I didn't know if Ryan knew it, or, because I was told that he resigned, wanted to rescind his resignation, and was told by Adam he could not. So I'm confused on if they actually have a trustee.
Adam confirmed that Mark is okay to be the alternate.
No, that wasn't my question.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember, and you're on those meetings, I'm still asking, do they have a trustee?
Oh. Not a permanent elected trustee, no.
Then why would, that's what I'm saying.
Their president can appoint them.
Yeah. Okay, but we, yeah. Amy.
Is there a penalty for not submitting a timely membership list, and if so, what is it?
No, there isn't. That's what we were saying
Okay,
earlier.
thank you.
We wouldn't have to. There's a lot of work. There's a lot of work to be done on this at convention. I was just hoping that we weren't using last year's list to approve this year's contestants. So we've resolved that problem, and we know there's really only one association that we'll probably have a problem with, right? And that's Keystone. Okay. That was the mission. Wes?
I talked to Lisa. She's got the list. She'll get it tonight, and then she will email the correct. When Sandy sent it, Sandy did both, but the one didn't send to you.
Okay.
So you only got the one list.
Okay.
But she has it with her.
Okay.
Okay. So, okay, so did you have an opportunity to read through that, Gene? Did you see anything?
I don't see anything that gives us any right in the, as far as their use of the logo.
Okay, so,
I don't see any
so
of
I will
that.
write one sentence of any inappropriate use of our logo immediately terminates this contract. Yeah, craft something, a sentence. Does that sound appropriate to everybody?
That's fine with me. I did see this other about, are we receiving something, because there's 2 contracts attached to what you sent me. So are we receiving something from Apple for this?
It's the non-disclosure agreement.
Yeah, the non-disclosure, I'm not sure what that is about, because I was thinking more on the logo usage and not this non-disclosure agreement. Do we know what that is?
The non-disclosure agreement relates very specifically to their activity this weekend.
That one might have went to Ron. One of them went to, I'm only supposed to be like working with one. Ron did one.
Yep.
What are we not supposed to do? I tried to read through it and I couldn't make heads or tails.
Okay, it is a little secretive. There's a multi-billion-dollar corporation which is the sponsor for all of this. Their activities are very, very closely guarded. Consequently, those people with whom certain information has been shared have been required to sign a non-disclosure agreement beforehand to the extent possible to safeguard dissemination of information about the sponsor and their activities. Candy, would you agree that's...
Yeah.
So we really can't say much more than that, other than stay tuned, because when you find out who this is, your jaw is going to drop and you're going to, oh my God, wow, it's that big.
But someone in IGRA knows about it.
Oh,
That's
yes.
what okay. That's all I was asking.
Okay. And we will craft,
Yeah, I was just.
oh yeah, Ron, I'm sorry, I thought I told him a while ago. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Ron.
I thought said kind of what I want to say, but don't get confused with what I signed. It specifically states confidentiality agreement. I cannot share information I know yet from this. And that's all it was. It right up says confidentiality agreement. So I cannot tell you any more than that. Other than I also had to get a picture release from Coronas because pictures will be taken inside and outside the property. And that's, mine was nothing about a logo. Strictly confidentiality agreement.
And that's fine. I get that, and that's fine as long as that somebody knows what we're participating in. That's all.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, I just want to be clear that what I signed is not the same as what
Sure.
Randy has.
Sure, right.
But they're all confidentiality agreements.
Okay, so the sentence that Brian wordsmithed for me was, at any time, IGRA may revoke the permission for logo usage for any use deemed detrimental to IGRA by the IGRA Board of Directors. So I'll add that sentence before signing it. Do I have a motion to approve me signing this?
So
Jeffrey, Brian, second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Abstention? Okay.
So it's Jeffrey too.
Brian. All right, you have IGRA SOPs.
Yeah. We do have the Diamond State membership list dated December 28th.
I have two of those already.
At the end of the year. So Diamond State's taken care of. Okay, let me go back. I've made a list of IGRA. Last year, Caleb came to us and said, talked to us about implementing SOPs, policies and procedures and so forth. So I started building a list of policies and procedures that would appear to be appropriate, and then are going to work to find out who should own which of these processes and procedures. So we'll start off with the document control policy and process, records retention policy and procedures, convention selection criteria, convention registration. This past year, convention registration was a nightmare. We ran into lots and lots of issues, and I know there were people doing everything they could, but we can't repeat what we went through this past year for convention next year. So the convention registration will address the association's registration, the delegates, the alternates, the guests, and the committee chairs that IGRA will cover if they're not representing their associations. Then a process for the IGRA insurance, the rodeos and non-rodeo associations, the D&O insurance, then process and policy on posting files to the IGRA website, how we go about getting documents added to the website, so it's something that's actually documented in places to tell you this is what you do, this is who you contact, what have you. The rodeo school sponsorship process, we have a form. I'm suggesting that we put a process around, this is what you do with this form, this is how you get, where you send your form, to put some structure around some of these events that we're doing. The Wayne Giacchino Award, WGRF submits recommended recipients and the board of directors determines who that recipient is, but putting some structure around that process. So I'm going to be, I guess my request of the board is, I don't know if we need, if it's Tanya and I, or who all needs to be involved in determining who should own which of these policies and processes. But this is the list that I'm starting to create. I don't know if there's an interest in who you want to own those procedures. Is there any, then let's see here. Been putting in, documenting the process around the rodeo rule book. You know, how it gets updated, the time frames, the timelines, how many books you order, all, none of that is documented anywhere. Then putting a documented procedure around the iDRE logo usage. We've running into situations where former title holders and what have you, or even in some cases the association may use the iDRE logo, but that logo can't be used without board approval. And so then putting in policies around iDRE systems, servers, assets, laptops. As we move into some new, moving forward with our rodeo registration process, we're not going to have assets that will be used at the rodeos. And then, you know, having a process around how the iDRE PayPal is done, who has access and all that kind of stuff. So just putting some documentation in place. So I think some things will be owned by the treasurer, some things may be owned by the admin. But those are the ones that I've identified so far that I'm suggesting we implement some sort of SOPs for. Let's get started.
Any questions?
Or any volunteers? Okay. All right.
Surely there's volunteers.
A room full of them.
Any other new business that I have missed? Brian, your old business. That was, you let me have
That's
that.
right. I do have some new business. Do you want me to proceed with it?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. I was recently contacted by Reno, Nevada.
Oh, bad.
Oh, you know about it already?
You sent me that. I saw the email.
Oh, okay. I was recently contacted by Reno, Nevada. They are interested in doing something with Gay Rodeo to honor the 50th anniversary of Gay Rodeo, which is in like a few years from now. Yeah.
Well, Mitch did the 30th.
2026?
Yes.
The Reno Mayor's Office is driving the process, and a gentleman by the name of Paco, who many of you may know from Reno, has had one conversation with me about this. I'm bringing it up now just to inform the board that this is reared its head, and it's something that we'll have to deal with, discuss, get more information on as it develops. They're very gung-ho, and the mayor's office wants something to occur in Reno, Nevada for the anniversary of Gay Rodeo.
What year?
I believe it's 2026.
It's 2026.
Okay, so I'll let everybody also know that there's two young ladies that's blown my emails up. I've not connected. The day that I was available, they weren't with this. They're from it's like the complex or whatever, so I would imagine now you've told me why they're blowing my email up, because I was thinking, Reno. And, you know, and I thought Sam and everybody else would have shot me if I would have said something. So I haven't made it an emergency, and I told her that I would, that I had some stuff going on and I would contact them soon, but I've received at least 3 emails wanting to speak to me about us going to Reno. So, Amy?
impression that what they are interested in doing is having a rodeo there? Like
Yes.
one of our rodeos there?
Good question, Amy. Yes, they want to have a rodeo there. They want to have Rookie Rodeo finals there. They want to have a big celebration and.
Would they give us lots of money?
Well, this
Parade, how about a parade?
I did even, that was one of my questions back to her, that prior to us talking, what kind of grants did they offer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I did have a conversation with Paco, and I told them, you know, it's going to take a lot of money, especially since there's not an active association there. Jeff, I did refer him to the Nevada Gay Rodeo Association for like some kind of support and on, you know, stuff. But that's all I know right now, really. So that's new business. That's what's going on.
And I will update everyone as well. I'll have the conversation and bring up these same things, Amy. I did respond back to you. For us to go to a place like that, there would have to be quite a bit of grant money and things like that, but we wouldn't not do it. But that's what we were looking for these days. So just to let everybody know. I'll
Brian, trustee at ngra.com. I haven't heard anything yet, but I'm happy to connect.
Okay. Any other new business? No more new business? Okay, announcements? Jack?
Yes. Colorado would like to, first off, thank you for convention. We look forward to seeing everybody in November and invite everybody to the Colorado Gay Rodeo Association Rocky Mountain Regional Rodeo 37, which will be July 5th, 6th, 7th. Oldest, longest running consecutive rodeo. We also will be doing a junior rodeo on Saturday night, and we look forward to having everyone there.
Randy?
We'd like to thank AGRA for the hospitality this weekend of hosting convention and looking forward to the rodeo. We'd like to invite everybody to the Texas Gay Rodeo. It's going to be called the 2019 Country Fair and Texas Tradition Rodeo with a complete full carnival. Memorial weekend, so come on down and join us.
GSGRA, Bruce, is he still in the room? Or Steve, I'm sorry. You know, I did. I'm so sorry. You know what? You know what? It's like the Bay Area thing, I guess. But you've got multiple ones to talk about.
I'm just here. Thanks, AGRA, for hosting this, and want to invite everybody down to Palm Springs on May 3rd through 5th for a hot rodeo. Hopefully it's still there. We had a little flood yesterday. So I think it's going to be green this year. So there's going to be so many, it's going to be beautiful. So please do come visit.
And warm?
And warm. Well, probably around 70.
MGRA? Wes, DSRA?
Burr Rodeo in April, 26th, 27th, 28th. And we've got a lot of things. And we're getting the mechanical bull from Adam. We're meeting in like 3 weeks to pick it up. So we'll be back. And I think, Texas, were you going to use it then? Because somebody else wanted it.
You know what? I'm so glad you said that. I don't know if everybody knew, but there was 2 bulls that were in storage up in New York forever. And Mark and Adam, they met and picked these up. Well, then one of them is complete and one of them is not, and the knot is sitting in the a storage trailer that I have, because I'd asked several times, we need to see that one so we can build the base. So then we have 2 functioning ones, one, you know, where they can be traveled around. But I have the body, but we have nothing else. So that is going to be so good, because so while it's in someone's possession, I want to make sure and take elaborate pictures or whatever, so we can have another base manufacturer, so we have two complete, that way all associations, we can have them all over the country where, so that's great that it's gonna be on this end of the country, so we, because what I'd like to do is just probably take it to a machine shop, have them manufacture it the way it's supposed to be. Okay, that's great, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, so that's the plan. So it'll be in Little Rock, and then.
Okay, perfect.
I think I may have some body parts in my that I found in my shed.
Did you have it?
Well, not body, but there's some springs. I have some springs.
No, that's what's missing is like, there's some things, like I have like 3 feet.
I'm gonna ship you a box of metal, so don't freak out.
No, that's probably what, yeah.
I don't know what that.
When you start talking about somebody's body parts, I'm
like, we put that in your garage after we went to
that was maybe in the shed too, but I haven't gotten that far back in there.
Jeffrey.
Yeah, I think we put that in the garage after we came back from New York. The last time we used it at the business convention.
Yeah, when we went to the Europe.
Yes, I think that's what's happened. I think they just got.
I'm gonna ship you a box of stuff.
That's.
And if you don't think it works, just take it to metal recycle.
That's fine.
Make some money.
No, but I bet you've got what we need.
You're getting a box.
Go ahead.
Oh, Murmur and Candy will make it work.
Yeah. Jeffrey.
Well, NGRA thanks Arizona for having us here and hosting this. We have just a ton going on in Las Vegas, so if you come into Las Vegas anytime in the next couple of months, please check our calendars because we've got stuff going on. Our biggest thing coming in right now is that we monthly are playing bingo at the Quads Bar, which used to be the Buffalo down near the airport. And we are finally connected and have permission to actually say we are doing bingo. On next weekend, Saturday, February 23rd, we are having our second annual 5D barrel race. It's a local event that we host out at Henderson Saddle Association. Last year it started off as the Ride for Richard, honoring Richard Armstrong, who passed away from cancer. And so second annual event is coming up next weekend Saturday. If you're in town, come by, support us. We'll be out there literally all day, and we're looking forward to it. Our rodeo is now in September, so plan to be there for that as well. We'll look forward to seeing you all on the circuit.
Great. Brian?
Springtime in Santa Fe is warm and dry. Come on out to the rodeo, and if you're going to go on to Denver, there'll be plenty of places to board your horses and stay, and we're going to see if we can do something cooperative with Denver to maybe attract people to come to both rodeos.
Great. G? Michael?
Nothing from
Amy?
Just thanks to Ron and AGRA for hosting us, and we look forward to going to Santa Fe in the late spring when it's probably not raining.
Jen, this is not fair, but
Red River was a very successful rodeo school last month. It was a great fundraiser that people donated stuff, and we got live on the social media and got people that couldn't come to the rodeo school got to participate, and we raised how much?
that just the,
$900
that was
just over live, right?
Live stuff, yeah.
$900 just on the live stuff.
Yep.
So, and we hope everybody comes and supports Texas Tradition Rodeo this year, because it's going to be a big shindig out there at the fairground.
UGRA just wants to let you know if you're in Utah on March 23rd, we're doing a show there that's for an all age, so kids and everybody are welcome to come to it. It's called Movie Review, something about trolls. Miss IGRA and Mr. IGRA are going to come and join us. I want to thank them if you see them. Also, we'd like to thank everybody who came to Utah in November. We hope you had a good time. We enjoyed hosting you there, and the hotel said you can come back and drink with them anytime you want.
I bet. I bet.
Especially Kate.
Thanks for drinking so much. It helped out with paying for convention.
Well, yeah, paid for the rent for the bar employees probably for 2 months. Right?
Yeah.
In fact, I heard one of the employees say, "I can now pay my rent."
Yeah, yeah, she said.
Well, they ordered 5 times as much liquor as they normally did, and they still were running out of stuff, they said, so.
Way to go, IGRA.
It was fun.
Thank you to AGRA for hosting us this weekend. Canadian Rockies Gay Rodeo Association, we have our website up. We have an Instagram _CRGRA_. We have our Facebook page open. We appreciate the support of IGRA in changing our rodeo date to August 2nd through the 4th. The name of the rodeo is the Canadian Rockies Rodeo North. It is an indoor arena. It is on the Stampede Rodeo grounds. It's not the actual Stampede Arena. It is indoors. The stalls are indoors. It is the Nutrien Western Event Center. It's very close to downtown. The host hotel, which you cannot block until next week, will be the Hyatt Regency Calgary. The rates are 139 Canadian, which is about 105 US. Those are for the block nights of Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Thursday we'll have the regular rates. And they'll have sponsorship page up shortly for Buckle sponsors, so if anybody's interested, by all means, appreciate your support. Thank you.
I too want to thank Arizona. What a wonderful place to have our first meeting, a great meal. I apologize, Ron, that there was a difference in who ate and what you thought, but this is a great hotel. They do a really good job, and I appreciate that all you did to set this up at such a short notice. We will, how about, we'll adjourn Jack.
Can I just say, I meant to mention it earlier too.
Oh, I did. I'm sorry. I'll get you.
I meant to mention it earlier. I just wanted to acknowledge and how proud I am of all of the IGRA judges. All IGRA judges have completed their 2019 recertification exams, and we had our first call last Wednesday. And so, I mean, I don't think we've got every judge to complete all their exams prior to the first board meeting. So please recognize the judges and the red team when you see them.
Great job.
Without rule books.
Yep.
Well,
and I'm very sorry. I don't know why I marked it out. I think I looked at you and then just marked you out. I didn't get you opportunity.
That's okay. So AGRA just wants to thank y'all for making it out here, and just to remind you that we have a lot going on this weekend. A lot of different things that we've never done before at our rodeo. I think you guys are going to be pleasantly surprised when you see everything we have going out on the greens this weekend. We have a lot of different games and different things and a lot of surprises that are going to be out there for y'all. And then tonight we have our neon party and stuff going. So this rodeo definitely, as far as entertainment-wise and things like that, is going to be something different that we've never done before. So there's too much stuff going on all throughout the day. It's going to be all different games and different things that I think everybody would like. So if you get a chance, come outside of the arena, see what we have going on the green all weekend.
Thank you. I apologize.
The mini rodeo.
So why don't we take a 15-minute break?
Oh,
and then we will go into the TPRB.
I'm out. Yeah. I'm out. Yeah. Hey, I was only tagged in.